Welcome, everyone, to the live stream. Nice to see you all here. Just seeing everybody that's in right now. We got a bunch of people already saying hi. Hello, everybody. We got Douglas already on my hat. I pulled him out about 10 minutes ago, and he's already been on my hat for long enough that now he wants to leave the hat. He's been super active the last few days. I fed him. His last meal was 5 or 6 days ago, maybe a week ago. Anyway, I fed him a large meal for him. It was a small rat, but it was a pretty large small rat, and it put him down for a while. So we're gonna probably skip his next meal. And anyway, he's been out of commission for a while up until the last couple days. So now he's active and wanting to do stuff. So okay. Hi, everybody. All right, I'm seeing a bunch of people in, a bunch of Horde Keepers in. I don't know if you guys heard the thunder crack, but we started off with the thunder crack, which is the Horde of Keepers. The folks on Patreon, that's their sound. I've got a question right off the bat from Clowning Around Pythons. Is saying, hello, good sir. I have to ask, what is your favorite new genetic that's come out in the last 2 to 3 years? You know what? I'm going to be honest. If you asked me to name a genetic that came out in the last 2 or 3 years, I would lose that game. I do not stay up on the new genetics. There's just, like I consider, first of all, because I don't keep up on it, Lace is one that I really like. That's not new at all, but it's new for me. It's probably been around, 10 years, maybe longer. But the new ones, I don't know that I've heard of any that have come out that are like super exciting in the last few years, but I also don't keep up on it. So tell me in the chat what genetic you guys think I should look into that's brand new. What should I look up and see? And I'll also say that since I just answered a question from the chat, well, you know what? I'll wait till more people get in before I talk about this thing that most of you know that I'm not going to see most questions in the chat, but we'll talk about that later. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I got hiccups all of a sudden. What a terrible time to get hiccups. You guys, how pretty is Douglas though? For real. I mean, you can see a bit of iridescence, not a ton because we're not outside, but man, I had him outside and he's just a rainbow. He's so cool. And his yellow, this yellow on the side of him, see those yellow stripes near his belly? Super bright in the sun. Just, scrub pythons are so variable with their patterns and kind of the colors that come out. And Douglas does not disappoint. He is one of the prettiest ones of these southern scrubs that I've seen anyway. Okay, Barefooted Wandering, thanks so much for being here. Welcome to the first live stream. I like that, every live stream we have people saying, oh, it's the first time I got to catch your live stream. And that's cool that new people are coming in. And Cork Island, hi from Cork Island. Whoops. Cork Ireland in the house. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy St. Patrick's Day, you guys. It's not Thanksgiving at all. It's St. Patrick's Day. And I'm drinking Irish whiskey, by the way. I'm drinking this Redbreast Lustow, which is so good. It might be my favorite Irish whiskey. I think I said that in the last live stream. But still on that bottle. I don't think I've had any of it since the last live stream. So we're going to start with that and then switch to Scotch. I've got that's my favorite Irish. This is one of my very favorite. This is top 3 Scotches. I can't decide on which one is my favorite. So they all kind of hold the top spot. That's Port Charlotte 10. And it's very smoky and peaty, so you don't want to start off with that. You want to start off with something that's not going to. It's my favorite, but it ruins your palate for anything else. So you're pretty much done drinking anything else once you start with that, because it just stays on you. So now that we've got some more people in, and a lot of people are saying it's their first live stream, welcome, glad you're here. Here's what's going to happen. I won't see most of the questions or the comments. If you have a comment or a question that you specifically want me to see, you can super chat it. That highlights it, and then I'll see it. But if you have a question that you just want answered, you don't have to like pay for a super chat. You can just ask the question. There are experienced snake keepers in the chat that'll answer your question. So just ask it and watch the chat. But if you want me specifically to address your question or see your comment in the moment, super chat it. Otherwise, I do read the entire chat the next day. I just can't respond to it. So there you go. Red Sonia just gave a great example. Did you celebrate Pi Day, also known as my birthday? Oh, Red Sonia, happy birthday. You know, I'm embarrassed to say that I did not celebrate Pi Day. I usually celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and I didn't even do anything for that. So there has not been much celebrating, just working on stuff. You know, I've almost doubled my workload with the new podcast. And have you guys seen the new I know some of you are watching the new podcast, but I think the 7th episode went up this morning that covers El Chupacabra. That's a fun story. For those who don't know, I have a new podcast called Aliens Are Behind Everything and Other Probably True Nonsense. It's that. And, you know, we talk about cryptids and aliens and paranormal stuff, and it's super fun, but it takes a lot. It's a lot of work. And so my point is that I haven't been doing much lately other than Green Room Pythons videos and alien podcasts. So that's that. That's a good question. Sky, thanks for the super chat. When's your next reptile room tour? You know, I should add that to the list because we haven't done that in a while. And Douglas, I'm sorry, bud, I can't have you just wandering. It's probably a good time to do a complete snake tour, you know? Yeah. Oh, thanks, Azara. New podcast is fire. If you haven't checked it out, do it, lady. Nice little chit reference there. I like it. Thanks for that. I didn't even mean to click on that. It was an accident, but you advertised my podcast, and I appreciate that. You know, I've been talking about it on the channel. I've mentioned it because, you know, at first when you start something new, nobody knows about it. So I'm going to take these headphones off. I just put them on to make sure that sound is working right away, but I don't need them. So anyway, you know, nobody knows about it, and it takes a long time for people to discover anything new that you're doing, whether it's on podcast platforms or YouTube or whatever, which this new podcast is on all of them. But because of the Green Room Pythons crew, there's been, you know, I've got a decent amount of subscribers for the first, you know, month or so of the podcast. We're at a little over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And then I don't understand how it works on the other podcast platforms, but it's up on those, and I see that people are listening on those other podcast platforms. So, you know, I think it started off pretty well. But it's slowed down on YouTube. I had a big spike for a couple of weeks of YouTube showing it to a lot of people, and then they stopped showing it to people, which is normal for a new thing, you know. But it's just like, you think that it's just going to keep going with that spike, and then when it drops, you're like, oh man, come on. But anyway, my job is to just keep producing episodes and putting them out every week, just like we do with Green Room Pythons. So anyway, for those of you who have seen the new podcast, I appreciate it, and I'm glad that some of you are enjoying it. It's great. I'm having fun putting those episodes together. Yes, I am making up for not celebrating by drinking Irish whiskey. I can also, here, real quick, I'll play part of an Irish tune real fast. You know what? That wasn't bad for as little as I pick up this mandolin lately. Oh, geez. For as little as I pick up this mandolin lately, that wasn't too bad. I almost separated Douglas's vertebrae there. I didn't pull him too hard, but Crisis, thanks for the super chat. Hold on, I'll check to make sure I didn't miss any super chats too, because I may have. Hi, Bob. From my new temporary apartment, rebuild is going good. My ball python Ruger just turned 22. Oh my gosh, 22, that's old. I'm so glad that you're settled in the temporary place. Glad the rebuild's doing good. I saw those photos that you sent me the other day. It looks like work is being done. That's cool. Crisis had a crisis. Her place burned down. So so it's getting slowly and slowly but surely rebuilding, and all the snakes survived, fortunately. Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. All right, I think we're good. So here's what we're doing today. We're going to I've got a friend of mine coming over who needs some isopods, so I told him I'd give him a culture. So he's coming over in about 45 minutes to pick up that. He'll say hi. And we're going to feed some snakes. We're going to feed the snakes who live in these cages right here. The two blackheaded pythons and a boa by the name of Handsome Dan. And actually, I'm glad that I mentioned him, because Handsome Dan is not in his cage right now. I just remembered he's up there. He's on top of that thing. So I got to get him down and put him back. We're going to feed those snakes later this evening. And I have a hard out, by the way. That's that means I have to cut it off at a certain time because it's movie night. Do you guys remember Rita from Introducing People to Snakes? So Rita and Steven are my neighbors, and they do a movie night. And I told them that I would handle the pizza for tonight's movie night, and it's Mystery Men, which, you know, that is one of my favorite movies of all time, directed by Kinka Usher, who didn't direct anything again, I don't think, because this was supposed to be like his movie directorial debut. He was like a music video / commercial director, and he made Mystery Men in the early 90s, I think it came out, and it's amazing, but it flopped. It didn't do well at all. So I think that was his first and last attempt at movies, but I love it. And Rita's never seen it before. Steven has, and our friend Amanda, who's going to join us, has seen it, and I've seen it, but I'm very, very excited to watch it again. Anyway, at 8 p.m. Pacific time, that's when the live stream will end. So, all right, let's see what else I need to say before. You know, I was going to say we're over at the Horde of Keepers. For those of you who aren't on Patreon, over at the Horde of Keepers, we're putting together a trip to Costa Rica, and I was going to make an announcement that we need one more person, but I don't think we do now. I think we got our. I think we've got our group. We can add more people, not many more, but we can add more. But I think we've got a good. I think we've got a good group. Red Sonia, another super chat. House Snake Egg Watch Day 31, no change. I think Fool's Day. Because April Fool's Day, yeah, that's coming up. Love is in the air. My Blue Eye and my Bell have hooked up. Oh, good. That's great. So you're about halfway to your. I think that might be your first clutch of house snakes. Am I right about that, Red Sonja? That's great. That's very exciting. Anyway, so Costa Rica trip, very excited about. We're going to go down there with Quetzal Dwyer, who is an encyclopedia of reptile knowledge, especially in Costa Rica. He's going to be our guide, he and some of his buddies. And we're going to have a blast down there. So I'm excited. Those of you who are going on that trip and watching right now, expect an email from me tomorrow morning. So I am drinking. You probably just jumped in, and a number of people probably just jumped in. This is what we're drinking right now: Redbreast, Lustau, which is sherry cask. Is that what it is? Sherry, yeah, sherry finish. Redbreast, it's delightful. I think Redbreast. I think normal Redbreast is sherry finished as well. This is just more so, and it's a different cask. Douglas. There we go. This chair, the snakes love this chair because they can grab it, they can squish it and wrap around it. I was working yesterday morning for probably 3 hours. I had Captain Farrell just on the back. He was on my shoulders, and then he moved to the back of the chair, and he just hugged it and didn't move for about 3 hours. It's just cool. Yes, Tanya, I think we have enough people. A couple of the people who have confirmed are like close to deciding. They're probably going to go, but they're not absolutely for sure yet. But I think we're going to be fine. I think we will have enough. HK Creations. H would like to advise you to bring a backup phone. I agree. Actually, you know what? I have so many people with me on this trip that if I destroy my phone, which the odds are good that I will, based on past history, there's other people with phones. You know what I do need though is written down phone numbers, because it used to be, for those of us that are old enough to remember, that we used to remember phone numbers because you had to actually push buttons to get somebody on the call, and you had to know the order of buttons to push to get someone to answer the phone. Remember that? You had all those numbers that you had to remember in a row, and we have phone numbers in our brain. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have my parents' phone number, my sister's phone number, so I can update them from someone else's phone if I destroy mine. So that's the plan. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything here. I don't think so. Okay. I think we're good. I'm going to put Douglas back here in a minute because he's already leaving. His tail is on my neck. I don't know where the rest of him is. He's so freaking long now that, you know what? Here, let's just see where he is. Right here. Hey, bud, come here. Can we just put you back? Let's put you back because you're a little crazy right now. Here's Douglas. Those colors. I mean, I want him to keep those yellow stripes his entire life. I tend to think he won't, but I love them and I hope he does. Okay. I'm putting him back real fast. Just let him go in there. What was I saying? I feel like I was saying something. So we talked about the Costa Rica trip. We're going to feed these snakes before the end of the thing. We talked about New episode of the podcast. El Chupacabra. So for those of you, my guess is there's a number of you who have heard about the podcast and have thought, oh, I should listen to that, but haven't gotten around to it. And I totally get that because that's the kind of thing I do. If you go to the YouTube channel or the Apple or Spotify or whatever to listen, you've got a number of episodes that you can just binge. El Chupacabra just came out today. Last week was Dolotov Pass. We did Roswell. We did the South Shields Poltergeist. That was creepy. The Montauk Project, Amazon Civilizations, Yucca Man. That one's crazy. So a bunch of stories and fun. You know, if you're not too tired of listening to my voice from Green Room Pythons, you know. So that's what you got. And next week, let's see what's next week. I think I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. Next week, though, I've been trying to record these a few weeks in advance. Oh, right. I'm doing the creepiest declassified files from the CIA. I think we have 7 or 8 of them that are pretty crazy. You can go. So I learned this. I'm just going to talk about this for a second. I learned this in doing my research that you can go onto the CIA's website and they have a reading room. And because of the Freedom of Information Act, anything that they've ever declassified is in that reading room. And you can look up stuff by keyword. So you can just go in the CIA reading room and type in aliens or UFOs or UAP or anything like that. And it'll pull up every document that has that on it. It's pretty cool. So anyway, I played around with that and got some fun information for next week's episode. Okay, enough of that. Let me get to a couple of these super chats. Hold on, let's make sure that I'm caught up. Okay. Here we go. Amy Olson. Hi there. I sometimes remember my grandmother's or childhood friend's phone number. Yes. I know my grandmother's phone number, which is so weird because as a kid, I don't think I dialed it much. I don't know why I remember that. And I remember my phone number when I was a kid, like my first phone number when I was old enough to know a phone number, I guess. I know that one. I think those are the only 2 that I know. Candy's Critters, thanks for the super chat. I'm 72 and I remember my phone number from my youth. Yeah. Is that sad or what? No, I think when I'm 72, which isn't going to be too far away, I'm sure I'll still remember my original phone number from back when there were exchange names. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about exchange names. I'll have to look that up and see what that is. Love you, Bob. Take a throwaway phone. Looking forward to Chupacabra. Thanks, Candy. Appreciate that. Yeah, I should take a burner phone. That's what the cool like spy people call it. Oh, get yourself a burner phone. Also criminals, you know. You guys, if I have this hat on straight, this hat has the stiffest brim, so I can have a big ball python on my hat and it won't collapse. But it makes me look like an Amish person if it's straight. If I tilt it, if I wear it tilted, then it seems less Amish. Nothing wrong with Amish people, but if I were Amish, you would not be watching this right now. Elizabeth, thanks for the super chat. You won't have much reception in a lot of places. That's right. But when we're in towns or whatever, I always update when we're in some sort of town. Okay, thanks for the super chats, you guys. We're going to get to some of these questions, Patreon questions, because I got to get through them before 8 p.m. my time. So here we go. Jenna says, I think I'm going to be in the LA area, Los Angeles area, this coming winter, possibly even Pomona. I need recommendations for the best whiskey bars in the area. Also, any secret boutique hotels that aren't unreasonable. Dates will follow when I know more. Jenna, I love that. I don't have any secret boutique hotels to tell you because I don't think there's anything that's not unreasonable. And I also just don't know the hotels in the area because I don't ever stay. But I do know some whiskey bars. And the Tam O'Shanter is probably the most famous one in Los Angeles. And I will even take you there. If I'm in town, which I probably will be, I'll take you to the Tam O'Shanter. That place is great. It's where Walt Disney and the artists would go and hang out and have lunch and drink at the Tam O'Shanter. So there's a Walt Disney table that you can reserve. I never have, but still the people who work in animation, the cartoonists and such, still go there. You know, whether they're working at Warner Brothers or Nickelodeon or whatever, they still go there. And there's a massive, huge whiskey list, huge, like really expensive stuff too, like several $100s for a shot of certain things, which I would never partake in, but it's just fun to see those bottles there, you know? So there's that one. I can't spend that much time on these questions if we're gonna get through these. Let's see. Crisis, thanks for the super chat. When will I see a blood python on your hat? You know, if I am ever at a show and I'm handling a blood python, there's a good chance that they'll crawl up onto my hat. So it's not never. I'm sure at some point a blood python will be on my hat. It won't be my blood python because I don't see myself having one, but you never know. I also sometimes change my mind on things. Okay. Susan says, so Harrietta hasn't eaten in 3 weeks and isn't even interested in striking the thawed small rat. We increased the rat size to a small from a weaned. So could it be the size that's putting her off? Also, I'm still having problems keeping the humidity above 50. Is this something I should be concerned about? Okay. So, you know, a lot of times I've heard from a lot of people that they think their snake won't take a certain size. And I don't think that's a thing most of the time. You know, you could try giving her a weaned rat and see if she'll take it. You know, if over several weeks you offer a small and she refuses, and then you offer a weaned and she takes it, then maybe it's a size thing. But I just don't think that's a thing with most snakes in general. She might just be taking a break, you know. And as for the humidity, you know, if it's around 50% and your snake has good sheds, then that's fine. If they don't have good sheds, you can, give a humid hide when they go into shed. Not all the time, but just put a little humid hide together when you see that they're in shed, and that'll help them. And I don't know what your setup is, so I don't know what to tell you to increase the humidity, but there are ways that you can increase the humidity by adding more substrate or changing your substrate or covering the top of your cage. You know, there's a number of things you can do, but I don't know specifically because I don't know your setup. Nyasha says, I have a weird one. I'm having a problem with false widows in my reptile cages. They are just everywhere in that room. Anyone have ideas of how to get rid of them without hurting feeders or my other reptiles? You guys throw those in the chat if you have any ideas. I'd be asking the same thing, man. If I had false widows, there are certain spiders that I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with huntsmen. You know, daddy long legs, don't have a problem with. I know they're not spiders, but they're close enough. Don't have a problem with jumping spiders. False widows, anything that looks like a black widow, I'm not a fan of, and I would not like that in my room, you know. So it sounds like you probably had a hatching happen, which is awful in my mind. The spider hatching of false widows. I mean, it would be worse if it was black widows, right? But still, you know, we're talking shiny black, big abdomen, that kind of look. I'm not a fan of at all. So you probably had a hatching. That's unfortunate. However, you can get rid of those, and then just keep an eye out that you don't get any more in there. That's a rough one. I hope that never happens to me. All right. Let me check this real fast. Okay. All right. Oh, you guys, look at this. We got Bella out looking for food. She just ate a few days ago, but I think she's looking for more. That's cool. We'll see if Koa comes out. You know what I don't like that I just noticed is this name tag that has, I don't need my name on this. I'd rather you guys see more of the screen. Hang on, let me see if I can. I don't know if I can fix that. I mean, I can fix it, but in the 30 seconds that I'm willing to give myself to fix it, I don't know if I can. All right. If anybody knows StreamYard and wants to tell me how to do that, I would appreciate it. Oh, maybe it's here. Hang on, maybe I got it. Boom! Look at that. Got it, man. I am technically savvy, you guys. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine. Back to comments. Here we go. Riley's Reptiles is in, you guys. Riley just sent me the coolest video of he's got cameras on his albino Darwin, or a camera in his albino Darwin's lay box. And Riley, are you streaming that all the time? Throw it in the chat and put where they can find it. But anyway, he sent me this clip of the snake was off the eggs. So you see the pile of eggs, and the mama's off the eggs, and she goes over and takes a drink. She's like, I think she's warming herself up. I'm not sure where the heat is, but it seemed like she's probably in a spot where she's warming herself up. She takes a drink, and then she wraps back around the eggs, and she lifts the eggs up a little bit, I think, so she can have her coils kind of underneath the whole pile. But man, what a good mama. It's just cool to see any activity in a lay box that's happening. Is fascinating to see, because we don't see that kind of stuff all the time. You know, it's like it's almost like we're peeping Toms. We're looking in on something that we're not supposed to look in on. You know, they're supposed to be by themselves in their private little lay box, and we're you know, looking in on them. It's pretty cool though if you get a chance to see Riley's cam. It's pretty cool. So Riley, you're not streaming it, but it's going to be a video that airs April 7th, Tuesday at 2 p.m. on Riley's Reptiles channel. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. Okay. Cool. Hi, Sarah. Glad you're here. Sarah is one of our wonderful moderators, and she just joined. Okay. Oh, okay. So Riley, you are streaming it when it's working, it sounds like. So kind of, all right. That's cool. I should look in and check it out. Elizabeth, thanks for the super chat. The like button beckons friends. That's nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you hit the like button, it helps YouTube to know that people are enjoying the live stream, and they push it out to more people. So thanks for that reminder. Okay, let me grab another snake. And who do you want to see? Jeez, I got these hiccups. I hate it. Maybe coffee will help. Who do you guys want me to pull out? Handsome Dan. That's actually a good idea, because I got to put him back anyway. Great idea. Let's get Handsome Dan. I'm getting him from just off screen. Oh, buddy. So he's, you know, I never know when he's just sleeping or when he's in food mode, like when he's in ambush position. So I always use a hook when I'm getting ready to put him back. Oh, buddy. Okay. All right. You want to go with the hook, pal? No, you're just going to hang on to it? All right. So, handsome Dan, ladies and gentlemen. He is very handsome and super strong. He's such a grabby snake. You know, he always wants to be grabbing and squeezing something. I had him outside yesterday too. The weather's been really nice lately, and so I've been trying to take 4 or 5 snakes outside. You know, if I need a break, I grab a snake, walk outside with him for a little bit, and give him some fresh air. So I had Handsome Dan out yesterday, and he hasn't been outside in quite a while. So he's just squeezing me like crazy. You know, these snakes squeeze if they're a little bit nervous about something, they'll squeeze. And for those who don't know, boas are stronger than pythons. So just a normal squeeze for them will cut off your circulation, basically in your hand or your arm. Handsome Dan, how old is Handsome Dan? He's you know, I never know. Maybe he's 4. Let's see if I can find out. I mean, I know I can find out. Hang on. People ask how old my snakes are all the time, and I never know off the top of my head. I mean, I have kind of an idea, but I'm always curious too. Like when it comes up, and I'm like, yeah, how old is that guy? Handsome Dan he's 3 years old. That's crazy. He's pretty big for 3 years old for his locality. But he doesn't eat a lot. He eats about every 3 weeks, quail or a small rat. We're going to feed him a quail today. Just waiting for him to, you know what? I'll just let him drop the, oh no, I'm going to drop him if I let go of this hook. Hang on, guys. I just am going to focus on this for a second. Okay. All right. I think we're good. Let Handsome Dan do what he wants to do. Let me just double check this. Okay. I think we're good. Let's get to the next Patreon question. Okay. Crisis Corpse has a question. Have you told Handsome Dan that he's not a python yet? That's such a great timing for that question that was submitted days ago. We haven't talked about it. I haven't sat him down to tell him that. What I have told him is that boa is a species of python. So it's not the most accurate information, but do snakes need to be scientifically literate? I don't think so. And then next question from Crisis is, what's your favorite expo to attend? You know, I don't know. I had a great time at Tinley this year. And, you know, as far as the expo itself, that was, it gets a little busy. It actually wasn't as busy as it normally is, apparently. When I went, it was my first time going to Tinley. But what I like about Tinley is that it's like the social event of the year for everyone in the reptile industry. So you just see a lot of people, and it's a fun hang. So maybe Tinley. But like I said, I've only been once. And here's Crisis with a super chat. Those questions came from Patreon that she submitted a while back. This is a super chat. Does Handsome Dan steal things from you? My boa steals everything with his tail. Yes. Yeah. When I was just pulling him off there, you guys couldn't see it, but he tried to steal the hide, and then he tried to steal a cord that's up there. Just everything. It's almost like they have eyes in the back. I mean, ball pythons do it too, but boas especially, and semi-arboreal snakes especially. It seems like they have eyes in their tail. They know what they can just reach over and grab. It's pretty crazy. Okay. Rachel says, I got a new adult python rescue and am quarantining him away from my 5-month-old ball python. How long do I quarantine? I've gotten answers ranging from 2 weeks to 3 months. Yeah, 2 weeks is not long enough. At a minimum, 30 days. But that's, I quarantine for 30 days when I'm getting a snake from someone that I know that and totally trust, and I know that they have a clean room. So 30 days is basically just in case mites. You'll definitely get the whole life cycle of a mite in 30 days, or you should anyway. And but for a rescue, you don't know their history. I would say at least 3 months. Yeah, I'd say 3 months. That's a python, right? Yeah. So for me, it'd be 3 months. Everybody does it different, but yeah, that's great that you rescued a snake, though. There's a lot of reptiles in rescues that could use homes, so that's a good thing to do. Ghostcraft is asking how I feel about jute material. I found hanging baskets and was thinking of adding to my room for free roaming as an extra enrichment. Yeah, jute, I think, is just a plant-based material, right? It's not, as far as I know, it's not harmful to reptiles. It's just what they, I mean, I think twine is made out of jute a lot of times. I have stuff here that's jute, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's a problem, but if somebody knows something that I don't know about jute, put it in the chat. Katie, hi Katie, thanks for the super chat. Just sending some love because I can't help myself. That's so nice, Katie. It's nice to see you. I appreciate you sending love. That's really nice. Okay, Leah says, do you think you'll ever get a hognose? I like hognose. They're cool. I don't think I'll ever have one necessarily. I mean, I shouldn't say I'll never have one, but they're not on my list of snakes that I want to keep. But I love finding them in the wild in the Midwest. They're fun to find in the wild, and I like seeing them and hanging out with them. I just don't know that I want to keep them. And then question 2 from Leah is, any alien sightings lately? We've already talked about the new podcast, Aliens Are Behind Everything, and other probably true nonsense. But we haven't, I didn't mention, hang on. Oh man, I wish I had this within reach. Here's the pack of logo stickers. There we go. You know what? On YouTube, I changed the name to Aliens Are Behind Everything with Bob Bledsoe because the title is way too clunky anyway. But it's the same thing, whether you watch it on YouTube or listen to it on a podcast platform. But I went to Area 51 with our very own Amy Bentley, who can't be here today. But Amy and Brady and Brady is her husband, we all went to Area 51 and checked that place out, which was really cool. Did not see any aliens, but the people in Rachel, Nevada are really interesting people. So I have good stories about that, but I'll talk about those on the podcast. So I've never seen an alien. I don't think I've ever seen a UFO, alien. Never had any experience like that. I would like to, but I just haven't. How cool is Handsome Dan, right? Okay. Hey, bud, I need that microphone. I'm going to put him back. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to put him back in his cage right now because we're going to feed him a little bit later, and I'd like to just get him settled. I mean, it's always a battle with him, trying to move him off of anything. He gets real, He gets real flighty when he's not hanging on to something. He'll sort of flail around. Okay. Almost there. There we go. All right. Hi, I'm back. Thanks for being patient. Okay. Here we go. You guys, we've got 162 people in the chat. Keep in mind that I will read the chat tomorrow, but I won't be able to answer your questions. So if you have a question, just ask it and somebody else will answer it. If you want to super chat it, I'll see it, but otherwise somebody else will answer your question if you have, you know, snake related questions or maybe anything else. There's probably people qualified to answer, you know, physics questions in the chat. I'm not qualified to answer those kind of questions. HK Creations, thanks for the super chat. Will we get aliens are behind everything? Will aliens are behind everything get a Patreon? How do we get a sticker? Yes, Patreon for aliens are behind everything is coming next season. And there will be merch available to Patreon through a merch shop. I don't think I'm going to be physically mailing out stickers, but I gotta figure that out. But right now, I just changed my plan for how many episodes are in a season. I was going to do 10 episodes for basically 8 episodes a season, but we've moved it to 12. So we're on today's episode. I think was episode 7. Maybe it was episode 8 or 9. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I shouldn't say. I have no idea what episode we're on. But there will be 12 episodes in season 1. Then we're gonna kick off season 2, and hopefully, by the time we kick off season 2, I will have built the Patreon and we'll be able to announce it, and then that'll be available. We're gonna do some fun stuff in the Aliens Are Behind Everything Patreon. Sky, thanks for the super chat. We got a few super chats to get to here. You should get a rough scale python. They're awesome. You know what, Sky? I have one. His name is Ozzy, and he is awesome. In fact, I'll show him to you right now. Hold on. Let's see where he's at. I don't know if I'm going to get him out or not. We'll just see where he's at. Are we seeing that? Oh, no? How about there? There we go. Let's see. Should be in sky high. Yep, there it is. Hey, bud. So Ozzy, I'll just pull him out of the sky. For those of you who ask about sky hides, I get questions all the time. It's just a little bracket and a normal hide. Hang on. Okay, got that. So just a normal hide with a bracket that you can slide it onto the ceiling. So Ozzy was out with me the other day too. He's a real cool guy. There we go. A little rough scale python action. He is a very polite young man and a great eater, and he's got rough scales, which just feel cool. I like him a lot. Tanya, thanks for the super chat. Bob, look up a few rows and answer Jack's question. Okay. Let's see. I mean, a few rows. I'm going up. I don't see a Jack. I went pretty far up. What was the question? Hang on. Yeah, sorry, I don't see a question from Jack, but I will try to pay attention if somebody asks it again. Space Pros, what's your favorite snake you have? It's really hard because it's always the snake that I'm holding, I have said lately, though, that Douglas holds a special place in my heart. That little scrub python is pretty awesome, but I love my retics. I love so many of my ball pythons. I mean, I love all my ball pythons, but there's some that are special for certain reasons, like Damara, who's just my pinstripe ball python. I think of her as like the matriarch of the whole room. So there's a lot of different reasons to love different snakes, for their species or their personality. It's usually their personality, but it has to do with either their species or just the individual snake and just certain kind of a vibe you get from them, or their preferences, kind of the way they act when they're out, stuff like that. Hang on 1 second. Okay, Alan David, thanks for the super chat. Has Kent watched your new podcast? What does he think of these topics? Well, here's the thing. Kent is afraid of every animal on the planet, not just snakes, everything. So cryptids, ghosts, aliens, all that kind of stuff, not cool for him. He'll never watch the podcast. He's not the bravest soul. Not the bravest soul. Okay, let's see. Back to Chang. Thanks for the super chat. Olive, 6-year-old daughter, would like to know, how do you know which snakes are venomous? Ooh, Olive, that's a really great question. The only way to know if a snake is venomous is to know what kind of snake that is. So you have to have a lot of snake knowledge to know. Some people say that you can tell by the shape of their eyeball or the shape of their head or certain stripes, whatever. None of that is true. It's that you have to be able to identify the snake and say, I know, because I have a lot of snake knowledge, I know what kind of snake this is, and I know that it's not venomous or that it is venomous. So I always tell people that it's very important that we don't just pick up snakes in the wild unless we really know for sure what they are. That's a really good question. That's a good safety question for everyone. I think you just you may have saved some lives with that question, Olive. Well done. Okay. Let's see. Dark Moon Dragon, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Bob, I know you're more of a snake guy, but I'm 14 and trying to get into the hobby, but not allowed to get snakes. What lizards, geckos would you recommend for me to get at the next Tinley show? Yeah, I mean, before I was a snake guy, I was a lizard guy. When I was younger, I was a lizard guy. But geckos, man, I would say a crested gecko is a great choice. I'm gonna say this with a caveat. I love chameleons. They don't live very long, and they're a little bit tricky. You need to know. I mean, you need to know what you're doing with all species. But we're gonna try to get Ozzy up a little bit so you can see him. But chameleons are a little bit tricky, but they're so interesting and they're so fun to feed because you can hold a little cricket 10 inches away from them and they'll snap it out of your hand with their tongue. They're fascinating, really cool animals. So so I like those too. There's a lot of and obviously bearded dragon, might be the best, one of the best pet reptiles in general that you could have, is just a bearded dragon who's happy to just chill out on your shoulder, So those are my three choices off the top of my head right now. Elizabeth, thanks for the super chat. Jack is 14 and wants to know, that's Jack, Dark Moon Dragon. Okay, that was from Jack. I get it. So now I've gotten three super chats to answer Jack's question. Okay, thanks you guys for those super chats. I appreciate that. So Dark Moon Dragon was asking for Jack. I missed that part of the question. Okay, Thanks, you guys. So I see that now. Jack Log asked. Okay, great. There we go. Thanks for doing that, you guys. That's nice. To super chat for him. Sky, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Bob, I've been thinking about getting a green tree python or an Indonesian tree boa. I have a custom 6x3 by 3 foot enclosure and can't decide. That's a big enclosure. I mean, I don't know Indonesian tree boas, so I can't speak on them. But green tree python, hang on. I just want to look up Indonesian tree boa. Is that something that's called something else that I just don't know the, hang on. Indonesian tree boa. Okay, so they're kind of like the tree boas in the Amazon, I'm guessing. Images. Yeah. Slender, small, slender. That's a huge cage for those snakes. I don't know how active an Indonesian tree boa is, but a green tree python is active at night, but otherwise, and they're not going to use a lot of that cage. So what I'm saying is, you have a huge cage. I'd look at a more active snake, and emerald tree boa is larger, would fit nicely in that cage. Yeah, I'd probably look at something a little bit more active. But there's nothing wrong with putting them in a cage that big, I would say of those two species, even though I don't know about the Indonesian one really, green tree python are they look stunning. I love mine. Alyssa, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Bob. How can I help Cynthia Doll shed easier? Alyssa, you could have walked upstairs and knocked on my door to ask that. I mean, I would have taken the $2 in cash, but I think that you know what? I'll come down and we'll look at that cage. I think that just adding water to that substrate, and she'll do fine. She's kind of in a tall cage, so the humidity is gonna leave that cage a little bit quicker than it would if she was in a shorter cage. But I think she'll do fine. I think she'll be fine. She's been eating well and she's well hydrated. I think she'll shed for you just fine. Although what you might be telling me, Alyssa, is that she's already shedding and that she's having a bad shed. If that's the case, we'll give her a humid hide. Alyssa's my neighbor, you guys. Did you figure that out? Okay. All right, so let me get back to these Patreon questions because we've got to power through these. How cool is Ozzy? Look at this. He finds a spot to sit, and then he's just happy. Okay. H&K Creations has a Patreon question. They've been active in the chat here, but this is from Patreon. At what weight or other indicators would you move a female non-breeding ball python from small to medium rats? So, if they're non-breeding, there's no rush to move them. But I looked up what size Lane Lab medium rats are, and they're 90 to 130 grams. So somewhere around 1,000 grams, it's appropriate to move them up, but you don't have to right away either. They could stay on smalls for a little while. It's not that big of a deal. A small is plenty of food for them for a while, and you could do that, bump them up later. There's also, if you're getting your rodents from Lane Labs, they have a small/medium that's just a smaller medium rat, larger small rat that you could bump them up to. But around that 1,000 gram mark, you could bump them up if you wanted to. Atlantis Jackson, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Bob. That is all. Thanks. Hi, Atlantis. I appreciate that. Okay. Hang on one second. So, yeah, at 6 o'clock, my friend LJ is going to be here soon to pick up some isopods that I'm giving him. The nice thing about having a bunch of bioactive cages is when I have friends that need isopods, I can just grab some isopods and give them to them. Or am I? I found it. Okay, Leah is saying, did you shed test that Willow baby? That is from the Patreon folks know that I have a clutch of babies from Willow. We can bring Willow out in a little bit. That's one of the babies came out almost all white, and there's nothing in that pairing that should make the snake all white. So I did send a shed test out, and that snake's first shed went out, and so I assume I'll get an answer in the next week or two, something like that. It will be interesting. Gina says, hey Bob, I'm just asking because, well, I'm curious / nosy. What is your 5-year plan with the snakes you have? You have young ones that will be big and need bigger cages, bigger place. Please don't take this question as being mean. I'm just curious. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't take it as being mean. I wouldn't take offense unless you were, if you were like accusing me of, oh, this guy's just buying snakes and he's got, and without any thought to them getting older or getting bigger, I would take offense to that if that was your assumption, just because I talk about this a lot on my channel, that you have to be, you have to have a plan. You have to know what your plan is when your snakes get bigger. So yeah, and also the plan should not be, I'm going to have to move. So you said I'm going to need a bigger place. I don't need a bigger place. I have a plan for every cage that I'm going to have for these snakes and where that cage is going to go. The biggest cage will be an 8-footer that Douglas will go in eventually. And I have a spot for that, not in the green room. He'll be in another room, but yeah, anytime I've gotten a snake, I have figured out what size cage they're going to be in when they get bigger, and where that cage is going to go in the current place that I'm in. So my last place, the old green room, was much smaller than this place. So as much as I wanted a carpet python, I didn't get a carpet python until after I moved, because I knew that, I could keep a baby in that place, but as the snake got bigger, I didn't have room for it. So it's very important when people get any animal, snakes, lizards, anything, that you know what you're going to do when that animal gets bigger, because it doesn't take long for a lot of these snakes. It's a good question, and I didn't think you were being mean. It did not seem like a mean question, but it's good. It's a good thing to talk about, that it's important to have a plan. Yeah, and this thing before people go, well, I'm probably going to move by the time the snake gets bigger. You don't know that necessarily, so the plan should not involve moving to a bigger place. It should be, in this place that I'm currently in, do I have room for the adult version of this animal? Okay, Azara says, if snakes were able to partake in St. Patrick's Day, which snake could drink everyone under the table? Oh, that's a great question. It's going to be, I mean, it's Dave, probably. Dave's not even my snake. It's Garrett's snake, but you can't, I mean, I'm pointing to him, but you're not going to be able to see him. He's in that cage. And he is he's the biggest snake in the green room right now. He's about 7.5, 8 feet. And he's a little nuts. I think alcohol would not phase him. He's a little crazy. Hey, bud, you know what? You're slowly dropping my mic. You don't weigh that much, but he's like, no, dude. He was so comfortable and not moving until I touched him, and then he's like, come on, man. Yeah, there you go. You got it, bud. We're just trying to get him out of this wire. Okay, good boy. There we go. Ashley says, if you had the opportunity to work with any animal species, past or present, what would it be? Any animal would be a primate of some sort. An orangutan is that's always been my favorite animal. Past or present. So I would still stick with primates, but it would be one of the one of the human sister species that's not Homo sapien, but like I'd want to hang out with is it the Denisovans? You know, the Hobbit ones. Is that the Denisovans that they say are the Hobbit ones? In the past, I'd want to meet those guys. Not anything that's going to kill me. Not like a Neanderthal. I think was bigger and stronger than humans, and maybe not nice. I want little tiny people. That's what I'd want to work with. Whatever group of humanoid species used to roam the earth that was little tiny. So if they tried to kill me, it would be hard for them to do so. That's what I want to work with. Although, you look at a chimpanzee, and compared to us, a chimpanzee is tiny. Does not take much for a chimpanzee to kill you. So I don't know. I might change my mind. If I really had a time machine and I really was doing this, I might have some second thoughts on what I'd want to work with from the past. Okay, let me double check this chat real quick, see what I've missed. I don't think I've missed anything. Oh yes, I have. Hang on. Back to Chang. I see your super chat. Let me just make sure. There we go. Okay. Hi, back to Chang. We added a female ball. I'm going to say ball python. She is super outgoing, less than 200 grams. Is it her morph, or is she just miscongeniality? Yeah, it's for ball pythons. It's usually just their miscongeniality. There isn't much with regard to morphs that changes their personality in ball pythons. Some people may disagree with me there, but I can't think of anything that changes their personality much. There are morphs, they're set. The Koa, my Brettles python, is a hypo, and hypo is known to be more defensive, more reactive. He's not defensive or reactive, but he is more shy than most Brettles pythons. So there are morphs in some snakes that are known to change personality, but I don't really think there is in ball pythons. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me if you think there is one, or maybe there's one that's known that I just don't know about. Bert, thanks for the super chat. Is it true one shouldn't have a boa and a python terrarium near each other? A boa could have a bacteria virus that could potentially kill the python. So my boa cage is right there. Here, let me. Handsome Dan lives right there, and every other cage around him is pythons. But that was after several testings for IBD. That's inclusion body disease is what you're talking about, and long quarantine. So if you're sure that your snake is healthy, then it's not a problem. But you need to have them tested multiple times because it doesn't always show up on tests. And, I knew who I got that snake from, and I trusted them, but I still quarantined I think Handsome Dan was in quarantine for maybe 3 months. If it was someone that I didn't know very well, it'd be 6 months. Some people quarantine boas for a year before they put them in with pythons. So you can do it. You just have to be careful. It just takes a while, Sky, thanks for the super chat. You should do a mini reptile room tour. I'm going to do a video. We're going to do a reptile room tour video. I mean, you guys can see the reptile room. Like, that's it. I have racks. Why is that camera? Hang on. There we go. I have racks that I've got some ball pythons in. And so usually when I do a reptile room tour, I just show every snake in the room, But I'm not like pulling out tubs. I'm bringing them in front of the camera usually. But the room is not huge. And then I have house snakes in another room. Just a couple house snakes in another room. So I am going to make that video though, because we haven't done one of those in a while, and there are definitely more snakes here than last time. Speaking of more snakes, let me put Ozzy back, and I'll answer a couple more questions, and then we'll grab another snake. Tell me who you want me to grab next. Who are you guys itching to see? You guys are good at talking amongst yourselves. Okay. Ozzy's back. Stella, that's not a bad idea, but you know what? I think Stella must be in shed. I haven't seen her in a couple days, and she's usually bugging me every day. So I think Stella's in shed. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just pull her out. She's in her sky hide. Pull it out and check to see if she's in shed. Maybe we'll do that. Sky, thanks for the super chat. Let's see your black-headed python. One of them will probably be out roaming shortly, and when they are, I can pull them out. They're in these two barren looking cages. So once they're back out hunting again, we can do that. It's weird that they're both asleep right now. Okay, I'm getting Echo. Echo's crazy right now. I'm not pulling her out. She's been out all day, and I put her back before the live stream. She's nuts. Tiger Lily, that's a good idea. Molly Malone, Maya. Okay, all right, we got some choices. Crisis, thanks for the super chat. As of 3/16, I've officially had a boa for 1 year. Thank you, handsome Dan. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Congrats on that, Crisis. That's cool. Okay, I'm going to answer 2 Patreon questions, and then we're going to pick one of those snakes that you guys asked about. It's probably going to be Stella. We're going to check on Stella, and we'll grab another snake. Hang on. I lost my place again. Candy's Critters is asking, any news yet on Snake Spy or Spy Snakes? That is the animated series that we're working on. There's not really going to be any news. We are working on it. It's in the writing phase right now, but there won't be any news until it's coming out. So it is being worked on. We had a writers meeting a couple weeks ago. There's 4 or 5 of us working on it right now. So, but there's not really anything to talk about until we're ready to put something out with it. Katie, thanks for the super chat. Heads up to you and Riley and Dave and Adam. Debit card hack issue we'll fix on Patreon soon. Oh, no worries, Katie. That sucks when that happens. But you know what? None of us see that. Like, that's not even something that we see if something like that happens. Sometimes people message me and they go, I'm so sorry. I had to, either drop Patreon or go down a level or something like that. And you don't even have to worry about it. It's not something that we even notice, or at least I don't notice it. And I don't think those guys are keeping, heavy track on that, because it's not, I'm not trying to pressure people to join Patreon if they can't afford it. And when somebody's card gets compromised, you're gone for a bit and then you come back and, I get it. My card was compromised a few months back. It's such a pain. Lockout, thanks for the super chat. I'm getting ready to get my first snake. Should I get a hatchling? Thanks for all the videos and info. It's great to get a hatchling because then you can raise the snake and the snake can grow up with you. That's the benefit of getting a hatchling. Although I will say, I mentioned rescues earlier. We were talking about someone who rescued a snake, and that's a great way to go to rescue a snake. So if you can do that and you want to do that, go to a rescue and find a snake, you could do that. But it's also really cool to raise a snake from a baby. If you're a new snake keeper and you're saying it's your first snake, I would say hatchling is probably a better choice, you know, because then you can grow your keeping with a new snake that's growing with you, you know. That's what I would say, but it's always a great choice to get a hatchling. Hang on, I want to give Ozzy his sky hide back because I forgot to give it back to him, and then we're going to see what Stella is up to since I haven't seen her in a couple days. Ozzy's waiting for me to give him his sky hide back. He's sitting in his tree looking at the area where his sky hide is. That's crazy. All right, let's see if I can get Stella. Move this. On live stream days, I move all my furniture around, so I have stuff in the way all the time. So my guess, if when Stella's not in shed, if I start to open her cage, she comes right out to see what's going on. So, hi, Mama. So she is in shed, and so tomorrow, it makes me laugh because she's so active normally, and she just is crazy all over the place. But she wants nothing to do with us right now. So tomorrow, what I'm going to do is drop some damp sphagnum moss in there to help her out. Pythons, reticulated pythons, oftentimes have trouble shedding. So, you know, I usually give them a little humid hide. Okay, so that solves that mystery. And I think Freya was requested. And Tiger Lily was requested too. We could bring mother-daughter out. It's pretty easy to do. Let's see, we got Tiger Lily up here. We got Freya right here, mother-daughter action. Okay. Hi, I'm back. Okay, I guess Freya's just gonna sit there. Let's move my whiskey out of reach from her. I'm just checking to make sure I haven't missed anything. I don't think I have. Okay, I think we're good. Except Fizzy just super chatted. Thanks for the super chat, Fizzy. Rhubarb says hi. He's still a cutie and doing amazing. Rhubarb is a snake that came from here. I can't remember which clutch that was. Who are Rhubarb's parents? He's currently trying to type on my phone. Love that they can manipulate touchscreens. I know, it's crazy that they can. As soon as a snake, not everything that hits a touch screen will work with it, but a snake is just like a finger, and they definitely can mess with your phones. All right, we're gonna get Freya up here. Maybe. There we go. Do that. All right. This is a perfect snake, or a perfect hat for a big snake, because it's so stiff. It'll just be super uncomfortable. Okay, Mama, I'm just going to help you. There you go. All right. Okay, where am I? Okay, Allison is asking, I saw a post elsewhere asking when you can tell a male ball python is sexually mature. Okay, so I'm going to, on a lot of these, now I got two snakes going on my hat. A lot of these questions that come from Patreon are long worded. And so I cut them down to just the basics, but this one I didn't cut down because I want to read you what Allison wrote. I saw a post elsewhere asking when you can tell a male ball python is sexually mature. And one of the answers was when you can see them producing sperm plugs. I was like, the what? And immediately side-eyed my 1.5-year-old male. Are sperm plugs a real thing? Are they obvious? What do they look like, dare I ask? Well, I need to clean them up. This is not something I encountered with my ball python research. So no, it's not a real thing with ball pythons. It is a thing with certain species, but not ball pythons. This is crazy that I got 2 snakes on this hat right now. But the funny thing is that usually when somebody writes that, that's a common thing for somebody to write in one of these forums, that they go, oh, sperm plugs, because they've heard the word before, but they don't know what they're talking about. And then usually there's several comments below that where people say ball pythons don't produce sperm plugs. It's like when somebody mentions brumation with pythons, you know, somebody will mention it, but then a whole bunch of people will go, pythons don't brumate, you know, same thing with sperm plugs. Ball pythons don't produce sperm plugs. Green tree pythons produce sperm plugs. There's a number that do, and what those are is basically when the snake sheds, you'll see these 2 little yellow things right where the cloaca was. Those are the sperm plugs. Sounds super gross. Nothing that you ever need to clean up. It's not a big deal, but it is how you can tell that some snakes are male versus female. But that is not a thing with ball pythons. Oh my gosh, you guys are making my hat so heavy and it's not comfortable at all. Can you get your tail out of my hat, please? No? All right. Well, I got all kinds of problems here. You guys hang on. Ah, there we go. Okay. Allison's other question is, do you think maybe we haven't found any Bigfoot because the aliens abducted them all? Well, yes, but it would have to be that the aliens abduct them and then release them back occasionally for them to come in contact with the people that see them. So yes, totally possible that they're getting abducted by aliens and then sent back occasionally. It's a great theory. Deborah asks, where should a thermostat lead be placed? I'm guessing you mean a probe, the thermostat probe, be placed in a 4x2x2, and do I need 2 of them? You need one for every heat source that you have, and you probably only need 1 heat source in a 4x2x2. If you have 2 heat sources for some reason, then yes, you would need 2 of them, but you probably don't need 2 heat sources, and it should be placed right under the heat source. So my probes, you know, the heat source for this cage, is right here. It's a heat panel, and the probe is right there. You can't see it very well, but it's right under there. So I have a ball python care guide on this very channel that talks about probe placement and how to do it. So I hope that helps. And then I'm curious about the 2 of them thing. I'm curious if you're trying to use 2 heat sources, because you probably don't need that unless your house is freezing cold. All right. Allison says, thank God, because I was not prepared to deal with sperm plugs. It sounds gross. It's such a gross sounding thing, but they're actually not that big of a deal. You just see them. They're little things that you see on sheds, and it's not a big deal, but also not a thing with ball pythons at all. Okay. LJ's here, you guys. The door just opened. Hey, pal.
What's going on? You have a package. Want me to bring it in?
Oh, yeah. Will you bring in my package, whatever that is? Thanks. Okay, we're going to get to these questions in a second. Come say hi, LJ.
Right.
What are you doing with the Isopods? Are you putting them in lizard cages?
Yes. I started off with 2 leopards. Now I got A colony.
Nice. You guys, LJ Jennings. There we go. We'll use that camera. Cool, man. Hi, brother. How are you?
What's going on?
It's good
How
to
you
see you,
doing,
man.
sir? I
I'm
love
good.
this.
Are you? Yeah, I got 2 snakes right now. Are you going to do a set?
No.
LJ is a very talented comedian, and so you just came all the way out here for Isopods?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, cool.
Putting some things together. You know how it is. Once you get on that, you just want to get everything done.
Yeah.
Just put everything in, the substrate down, and got some new PVC enclosures. So.
Oh, nice. For geckos?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well, I just like the way they look.
Yeah.
You know, that makes more of an aesthetic thing, and with the humidity.
So wait, how many enclosures?
Right now I have 1.
Okay.
Well, I'm doing the first one now, and then I'm gonna get like another 2-3 more of them.
Okay, perfect.
So
here's the thing. These are powder orange isopods.
Okay.
And there's a bunch in here. There's probably 15 or so in here.
Okay, perfect.
I was seeing them crawl around. So that'll start a colony, and then you can seed your other colonies. Take like 5.
Okay.
You know, and put them in the next one. There they are walking around.
Okay.
In there. Here, I'm going to show the camera.
Ooh.
Can you guys even see them moving around in there? Probably not well. I gotta back it up for it to focus, and then they're too small for you to see. So these are powder orange.
Okay.
Once they're in there, that's a species that digs under the dirt a little bit, so you won't see them much until you lift up a log or something, and you'll see a bunch of them.
Cool. So quick question. So if I start my own colony, I'm trying that with I got some dwarf whites. And I can't remember what the other ones were. But yeah.
So the dwarf whites are a little bit smaller than the powder orange.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you don't want to put them in the same cage.
No. I know that.
You know that. Okay.
Yeah. No, because I want to do this one with the new one, the one I'm working on now. So how many should I put in that one?
I mean, I would dump the whole thing in that one, because then they'll start to reproduce immediately. There's babies in there, there's adults in there, and they'll start to reproduce immediately. Have a log or some cork bark or something that they can be under, and keep that a little bit damp, and they'll kind of be attracted to that.
Okay.
Tons of leaf litter, you know about that, right?
Yeah.
So they'll be attracted to that, and then you can just pick it up when you want to seed the other ones and see how many are there, and just grab a little handful of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So everything's how you been, man?
I'm good, man.
I don't want to disturb the live.
We're just it's all right. It's all right. You want to hold a snake while you're here?
Yeah, you know I do.
There you go. There's Freya.
Okay.
So LJ has lizards. You don't have any snakes, right?
Not yet.
What? Not yet. Are you thinking about it?
Yeah.
What do you want to
I
get?
told you last time I came over here, it'll be a cool ball morph or a dwarf boa.
Okay. Yeah.
Like what's up? So just because I don't want them to get too big, so
right.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Right.
So.
That makes sense. Dwarf boa, like a Hog Island boa or something like that is great. That's a great one.
What's up?
Yeah. Cool. So right now it's geckos, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just get. I have 6 leopards and 1 cave.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just
is that the Chinese cave?
Chinese cave gecko.
They're so cool. Do you guys know Chinese cave geckos? They're black, and they're maybe the coolest. Yeah, red eyes. Maybe the coolest looking gecko. I mean, not really. Geckos are amazing. Any species look really cool, but those cave geckos are. I've been tempted to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of town so much that I don't want to have a lizard that I have to feed every day. But they're tough to pass up. Those cave geckos.
And that's what happened with me, man. I got it for nothing.
Yeah.
They were just trying to get rid of it. I said, I'll take it.
There we go. You're just holding out all kinds of stuff. Here, you got her. So the other geckos, are you breeding those, or do you have plans to breed those, or they're just pets?
That was just mostly pets.
Yeah.
If something happens, it happens.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I haven't thought that far in the process. It was just, I said, oh, these are some cool morphs, so let me get them. Now I'm in the process of splitting them up.
Yeah.
Because I know they're not supposed to. They've been cool. So many things I've read and seen said they shouldn't cohab.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to give everyone their own space now. So that's where I'm at now.
Good. That's perfect. That's great.
So
nice.
My eyes got bigger than my tanks at the time.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
That happens.
Yeah. So
that happens sometimes.
I've been, knock on wood, lucky that I haven't had any craziness.
Yeah, so, that's good. That's good. Let me just check this chat real quick to make sure I haven't missed any. Oh, there's a super chat. Hang on. Let me see if there's any others that I've missed. No. Okay.
Pretend like I'm not gonna do some viewing, you know?
Yeah, man. Do what you want. Check out snakes. Do whatever you want. Sarah, thanks for the super chat. You guys, our wonderful moderator, Sarah, did a super chat. That's very nice. My super dwarf is about 2 years, 800 grams, and 6 feet long spaghetti noodle. He eats a small rat every 2 weeks. Has a small lump for 24 hours. Should I move him to mediums and or move to 3 weeks? And Dandelion says hi too. Nice. Dandelion is the snake in the picture that you guys see, and that snake came from the green room. Yeah, Sarah, I would say at 800 grams, I would go with, if you're ordering from Lane Labs, get the small mediums. A super dwarf can have a larger lump in their belly, and they can take pretty big meals. So let's see, you're going every 2 weeks. Yeah, I'd go with that. If they have a bit of a lump for a couple days, that's okay. I mean, depending on your temps, my super dwarfs have pretty low temps. They're like 85, 86, not even 86. They're more like 84, 85. And so they have a lump for a couple days. Usually they're digesting for several days, but that visible lump is a couple days. I love that LJ's back there taking selfies. That's so funny. Yeah. So I would bump that snake up a bit. I've talked about this on the channel before that as Echo grew up, I feel like there were times that I was not feeding her enough. And now I'm pretty clear on when to bump up those super dwarf retics and what to be giving them. You don't want to underfeed those snakes. H Hygdon. Thanks for the super chat. Let's see. I would love to get, hang on. Here we go. Hi. I would love to get a ball python for my classroom. I teach 1st and 2nd grade. Oh, that's great. Any suggestions or advice? And is a ball python the best option? I'd be a new snake owner. Sure. I mean, ball pythons are great. With kids that young, obviously you'd be careful about them, not just grabbing the snake or whatever. You'd be careful about handling. But no, it's a really good choice. There's a lot of classrooms that have ball pythons. I think that the fact that they're so slow moving and they're usually very docile. Both of these snakes, the one that LJ has, Freya and Tiger Lily, I would hand to any toddler, which is much younger than 1st and 2nd graders. So yeah, I think that's a good choice. You guys put in the chat what other options you think would be good for 1st and 2nd grade classroom. I mean, house snakes are a good option. They're a little bit more flighty, but house snakes are smaller. And you could have a couple of them. I think a ball python though is more of a, like, it's kind of cool. Oh my gosh. How cute is Tiger Lily on my hat? I think a ball python visually is just a cooler thing to have, in a classroom. Okay, back to the Patreon. I got an hour and a half for this live stream, you guys. We're never on a time constraint for the live streams. I'm feeling. I think we're gonna get through these. Okay, Edward says, I was looking to add a new snake to our home, one that is more active during the day for my 5-year-old son to enjoy watching. I was wondering what you think a good choice of snake is to accomplish that. So we're looking for a diurnal snake. You guys put your guesses in the chat, or not guesses, but your suggestions in the chat. I'm saying Pituophis, and that is bull snakes, gopher snakes, pine snakes. They're fast. They can sometimes have attitudes, but you can socialize them. And what I mean, they're fast. They're not crazy. They're just a little bit faster than a python speed, you know. But they can make really great pets, and they're up during the day and they're moving around a lot. Take a look. If I was choosing for me between any of those, I love all those species. I love finding them in the wild. But for me, I would keep a pine snake. I think there are so many cool morphs. Although, man, I tell you what, my buddy Willie of Willie's Reptiles has one of the prettiest snakes I've ever seen, and it's a morph of it's a bull snake, I think, or is it a gopher? I think it's a gopher snake. It's a gopher snake, and it's bright orange and yellow. It's so pretty. So anyway, I'd look at those because those are up during the day. A few garter snakes. That's a good idea, Ghost. Yeah, there's some ideas in the chat there too. King snake. That's a great idea. Hognose. The only reason I don't say hognose is I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong, because I've never kept a hognose, but I feel like they're always hiding. Like the hognose is a snake that you really never see. Am I wrong about that? Because my friends that have hognose snakes, you never see them. It's just an empty tank. LJ, if you got any questions or anything, throw them out.
Oh, okay.
Because it's content for the live stream.
It is enjoying.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Edward has another question. I see conflicting things online in regard to what you when you should move a snake into its forever home. When is it okay to move a snake into a 4x2x2? I assume we're talking about ball pythons. Different species are different. I think I'm talking about this in a video that I'm working on right now, but I can't think of which one it is. But anyway, it's it's one that I'm shooting this week. So the answer is that it depends on the snake. If it's a pretty confident snake, you can move them in as a baby. You know, I have a video where I went to Cincinnati, sent my son who's in Cincinnati, I sent him a snake and then flew out there to help him set it up. And that was a brand new baby from a clutch. And we put that in a 4x2x2 that was cluttered with lots of hides. And that snake has done great. So, you know, if it's a confident snake, they can go into a 4x2x2 whenever you want. But some snakes, you get them from breeders that only keep them in little shoebox tubs, which is okay. I keep mine in shoebox tubs as babies, but mine also get to come out. They go in a playpen. They get to be handled, and they're a confident, socialized snake that has experienced different things and doesn't. They're not of the opinion that everything's going to murder them. So when they go to their new keepers, they do fine going into a larger cage. I don't think I've had any snakes that have come from me go to one of the Patreon supporters and they come back and tell me that they wouldn't eat in a larger cage. That's never happened. So it's not that I'm great. It's just that my snakes are confident when they leave, you know. And a lot of snakes are. It's not that I'm special. It's just that some snakes will do fine. That's such a long-winded answer, you guys. Crisis Corpse, thanks for the super chat. This is for you, LJ. LJ, what is your favorite species of snake?
Boa. Redtail.
Redtail boa?
Or Doomy. I like Doomerals.
Doomerals? Oh man, Doomerals are such a good.
Yeah.
Here, let's switch cameras. So there we go. No, you're good. You're in there if I switch cameras.
Oh, okay.
Doomerals are such a great pet.
Yeah.
You know, redtail boas are great, can be great pets too, but they're a little bit, you know, if it's truly a South American redtail boa, they're a little bit touchier with regard to their care, and they can get pretty big for people who don't want a very big snake. They can get pretty big. At least, I mean, Dumerals, I guess, can get big too, but red tails will get larger.
Yeah, I looked up on one of those a few years ago, and then that quickly became my new favorite snake. The Doomy, yeah.
The Dumerals, yeah,
yes.
yeah. They're so cool. I really like a Dumerals. Yeah, good choices, man. Okay. Let's see where we're at. And then Edward is also saying, love the podcast. I'm glad you're enjoying the podcast. What he's referring to is a podcast you may have heard of called Aliens Are Behind Everything and Other Probably True Nonsense, hosted by yours truly. It's a brand new podcast that I mention every time someone else mentions it. Check it out on YouTube or any other podcast platform. Okay. Glad you're enjoying that podcast, Edward. Thanks for allowing me to do a little commercial for it. Probably the third or fourth commercial for it that I've done so far in this live stream. LJ, did you know that I have a new podcast?
No, I know now.
I've got a new podcast, man.
What's it called?
I'll tell you about it later. LJ, it's called Aliens Are Behind Everything and Other Probably True Nonsense, hosted by yours truly. I got stickers. So you guys, I said earlier in the podcast that I went to Area 51. I got these stickers because I knew I was going to the Black Mailbox. Those of you that are into this kind of thing know what the Black Mailbox is. But it's basically the spot that everybody goes to and people put stuff in the mailbox, like for the aliens and stuff like that, which is so weird. But I just wanted to put a sticker of my podcast on the mailbox, which I successfully did. That episode will be the season finale. So we got a few more weeks for the Area 51 episode to come out, but there will be clips of my trip there. Anyway, that's a fun one. Okay, Phil says, wait, is that where we're at? Yeah, Phil says Maxine's Skyhide fell with her in it since I installed a new Skyhide mount. She's only been up there one time. Do you think she'll ever use it again? Yeah. Snakes aren't that. A lot of times people think that if a snake has a bad experience with something or something that scared them, that they'll just avoid it all the time. That's not really true. They're not that fragile. I think she will use that hide whenever she decides to use it again. Not a big deal. They're not holding grudges about anything. Okay, Rachel says, I think you've mentioned that you'll let your snakes out free roam if they're coming to the front of the glass and looking to want to come out. Yeah. What time of day do they do that? Do they get up in the middle of the day wanting to come out or more in the evening? No, it's more in the morning. And so I don't do it in the evening because in the evening they're looking for food. So I'm usually feeding somebody at night. You know, I don't feed them all in the same day. So almost every night I'm feeding. So nobody's out during feeding time. So it's usually in the morning. I'm an early riser. I wake up anytime. I'm up and out of bed anytime between 4 a.m., which sucks, but sometimes that's the case. Like this morning, 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. at the latest. And so any snake that's up in the morning and wants to come out can come out pretty much. And then, you know, some of them can be out all day, like Handsome Dan, almost always. Is he out? No, he's in his hide. We're going to feed him later, but as soon as I come out, he comes out of his hide and he goes in, wait, how do I point to it? There. Now it looks like I'm pointing to it. He goes right there to his purple ball and waits for me to open his cage. I just open it and walk away. And he climbs up and across there and up to that hide up there. And he sits in the same spot every single day. And he sits there all day until I go to bed and I put him back. Did that answer the question or did I go off on a tangent? Asking if they get up in the middle of the day wanting to come out. So depending on the species, it's rare that a ball python is up in the middle of the day, but sometimes, you know, but I have some other species that are up. The blackheaded pythons, like I said earlier, that I'm surprised that neither one of them are out right now. They kind of nap a little bit during the day and a little bit during at night. Sure. And they're up and moving in between naps. So it could be any time during the day or night. And if no other snake is out, one of the black-headed pythons can be out at a time, because they're snake eaters, for those who don't know. And I don't want them meeting each other, for one thing, because I'm not breeding them yet. And I don't want them meeting any of my other snakes, obviously. Okay. I think we took care of that one. Sunshine says, a lot of people are asking about humidity, getting spray bars, spraying the enclosure, and scale rot. As there are a few factors, I thought any new people would benefit from learning what to do and what not to do, and signs to look for, etc. Yeah, I mean, I always tell people that there's no need. If we're talking about ball pythons, you do not need to spray their cage. People still do it. They do it every day. They're like, I spray down my cage twice a day and I'm still having humidity problems. You can have a cage with good humidity if you set it up right. So you've got to have the right type of substrate. You have to have enough substrate, and then you mix water directly in. So cocoa husk is a good substrate. If you have a taller cage, then you have to have more of that substrate. You mix water in. Don't just spray it over the top, because it evaporates immediately and dries your cage out. So that's why I don't like spraying, because it does dry the cage out immediately. Scale rot, your ball python should never deal with scale rot. They should never be sitting in super damp conditions for any long period of time. You can have cocoa husk that has some water mixed in, but if it's like soaking damp and your snake's just sitting in it, that's what's going to cause scale rot. And they should never be sitting in that situation. You know, if the substrate is that damp, toss it and add different, new substrate in there. Okay. Brett, thanks for the super chat. Officially a CPA. Thank you for the videos that kept me company through studying. Hey, congrats on that. Congrats on your CPA. Are you in California? You can do my taxes. Are we done?
I'm gonna take off.
Okay.
Thank you.
LJ, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Man. I gotta stop by more when you're not recording.
Yeah, man. All right, there goes LJ, you guys.
All right, have a good one.
All right, man. Keep me posted on how those Isopods do.
I will. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man, no problem. Okay. So we got that. I'm gonna put Freya and Tiger Lily back shortly. Okay, Melissa says, have you or anyone else experienced having a topical reaction, sort of like localized hives to a snake? So then she goes on to talk about her son gets welts on his hands only from his milk snake and cave racer, not the other colubrids, no ball pythons, not from the boa or the super dwarf. So it's specific snakes. I've never seen that before. I always consider snakes hypoallergenic. But tell me what you guys know. Do you have experience with having allergies to certain types of snakes? Have you ever heard of that before? I'm curious. I meant to look it up and I didn't. But I am really curious about that, because that's so crazy. It sounds like he's got an allergy to something that wait, what was it? It was the milk snake and the cave racer. So my question would be, is there a substrate that's just in their cages that the other snakes don't have? That'd be my first thought, is maybe it's not the snake, but something that the snake has on their body that he's allergic to. And then it would be like, do those snakes produce some sort of oil that the other snakes don't, that he's allergic to? It's really interesting. Pianoer. I'm drinking a perfect Manhattan at my local dive bar, watching your live. Oh, you're at the bar? Nice. This is Rebecca, you guys. Cheers. Love your snake hat accessory. Please give Pip a hug for me. I will, Rebecca. I will. I may bring Pip out if I see her. She's been super hidey lately. She's been hiding a lot lately, but we might get Pip out a little bit later. I love that you have the live stream on at the bar. I hope that you don't have headphones in. I hope that it's just full volume. annoying everyone else around you. I'm just kidding. I don't hope that for those people. Let's see. Thanks for that super chat, though. Okay, Kimber says, I often see snakes, not just ball pythons, that appear to have a knot in the lower half of their bodies. They're talking about their actual bodies knotting up, not like a kink, you know. Are snakes, are snakes good wranglers? Is there a specific species that could potentially become a lasso and strangle Kent? If you asked Kent, yes, every species would be able to do that. For me, you know, there's only a couple. Maybe a mainland reticulated python could turn themselves into a lasso and strangle Kent that way. But I think he's under the impression that anything could do that. Kimber said, she actually said, is there a specific breed? And I just want to talk about that wording because a lot of times people say breed when they're talking about snakes. And when we say breed, that's usually talking about dogs and cats. Or that's one species, and we have lots of breeds of dogs and cats. The dog itself and the cat itself are species. So with snakes, we have species. Usually we're talking about species. Sometimes we're talking about localities. And a lot of times we're talking about morph, which is the same species, but just a different morph. But we don't have breeds. Very common, though, for people to use that terminology of breeds. And it's okay. It's just something that is more specific to dogs and cats. And horses, I guess. What other things do we say breeds with? Horses, cows. Do we say breeds with cows? I guess we do. Yeah. So domesticated animals. Chickens. Do we say it with chickens? I don't know. Maybe it's specific to domesticated animals. I've never really thought about it. Candy's Critters, thanks for the super chat. Which snakes are you target training these days? You know, I do target training with pretty much almost all of the non-ball pythons, although I haven't done target training with Bonte, my green tree python. I probably won't. And I haven't started target training with Ozzy, the rough scale python, but I probably should do that. I've just been lazy about it. Piano Reb now. Much easier for you to say Piano Reb. I like pianoer, though, Rebecca, because you are a pianoer. You play the piano. I think it's funny. But Piano Reb works. We're all crossing our fingers, you guys, that Piano Reb gets to go to on the Costa Rica trip with us. That's she's one of the possibilities, and she'll be fun to have on the trip. Sam, thanks for the super chat. Is Kent really your brother, or is he an alien? Oh, that's such a good question. I've never thought about it before. Normally I would say he's really my brother, but he absolutely could be an alien disguised to look like me. You know, I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask my mom about that. Speaking of my mom, we haven't seen her in the chat, or maybe we have, and I just haven't noticed it. My mom's usually in there. You guys, I'm gonna put these two snakes back. I would just let them free roam at this point, but we're going to feed some snakes here in a little bit, so I don't want anybody out during feeding. Okay, I'm just going to peek in on Pip. Let's see, hang on. Okay, so Pip is in here. She's, you know, my favorite thing is when she decides to curl up in this Mag Naturals. That's a magnetic cave. But lately what she's been doing is going behind. I don't even want to do it, but I got to pull this whole big thing up because she's back behind there right now. So there's just enough room for her. Let's see if Squeak is out. He's not out anywhere. We got nothing happening that's too interesting, except we can always see Bonte a little bit behind that leaf. Bonte thinks that he's hiding all the time because he goes right behind the leaf. Look at that guy. I don't know if it's a guy, but next time that snake sheds, we're going to send a shed in and see if we have a boy or a girl. All right. Hang on. Almost there. Okay. I think I just got a text. That could have been my mom. Let me see. It is my mom. Tell everyone your mom and dad are both on, but it's on my Kindle. And for some reason, I can never comment on your live streams from Kindle. Yeah, Mom, you don't have the chat option on Kindle. You'd have to be on the computer. And by the way, where is your smoked wood cup for certain beverages? And I have a question. That same thing about your quote unquote brother, Kent. He has some very strange personality traits. Of course, he looks just like you because he claims to be your twin. That's right. He claims to be my twin. So you never know. So mom and dad sent me these cups. Hang on. I'm going to get them because that's what I'm going to drink my scotch out of. Hang on. It wasn't even my birthday or Christmas. And these wooden cups showed up on my doorstep, and I didn't know who sent them. But it was my parents. That was so nice of them. They're lovely oak cups that are charred on the inside, just like an oak barrel would be. They're very nice. Slancha. Man, Port Charlotte 10 is so good. You know, it's hard for me to land on what is my favorite scotch. But every time I drink one of my top threes, I go, oh, that's for sure my favorite. And I feel like Port Charlotte 10 is my favorite right now. If you're into smoky scotch, I highly recommend it. So good. Okay, let me make sure I haven't missed anything here. I don't think I have. All right. Okay. We're almost through these super chats. We have a couple more questions. I mean, not super chats, Patreon questions. But I got a couple more on Patreon, and then I can answer questions in the chat. I'll show you more snakes. We're gonna feed these 3 snakes, 1, 2, and 3. So my big fear, though, was that since I have a hard out at 8 o'clock, I wanted to make sure that I was through these, because sometimes this live stream goes 4 hours and I feel like I don't get through the Patreon questions in the first 3 hours. So here we go. Let's see. I think we only have 2 questions left. Ezra says, what has been your most and least annoying experiences with being musked on by any snake? Which species of snake and what happened, etc.? Oh, it's a great question, and I have the answer for both most and least. Most is always from an anaconda. Anacondas have, in my opinion, the smelliest musk, and they are a large animal, if you didn't know. And so it's a lot, you know, if you're dealing with a big one, it's a lot. And I've handled several wild anacondas, and they usually musk on you. Although the biggest one that I handled was 10 feet. That's in a video, one of my Amazon jungle videos. She was 10 feet and she did not musk on me. I can't remember if she musked on Dave. I don't think so. I think she was just polite. But man, anaconda musk is super strong, stinky, and there's lots of it, and it's gross. I've been musked on by anacondas at reptile shows. You've maybe seen that video. Just by a baby anaconda, not even a big snake, just a baby anaconda, still awful. It's almost like getting sprayed by a skunk. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's more like being sprayed by a skunk than any other snake that I've been musked on with. As far as my least annoying musking experience, that's always been with a snake that I catch in the wild, usually a colubrid that I catch in North America, that musks me. And the reason that it's not annoying is that I've remembered to bring wipes. I don't always remember to bring wipes, but if I remember that I have, and I have wipes with me, I just clean it off right away. And then it's not a problem at all. So it's not up to the snake, whether it's not annoying or not. It's up to me, whether I remember to bring wipes when I'm herping. Liz, this is the last question, I think, you guys, from Patreon at least. I'm considering getting a Brazilian rainbow boa in the future, but I have 2 ball pythons. What would you suggest for quarantine period and then eventually keeping them in the same room? Yeah, so it's kind of the same question that was asked before, but this is a Brazilian rainbow boa. But rainbow boas, just like boa imperators and boa constrictors, can carry IBD, inclusion body disease. And so it's important to, you know, if you can get the snake from a breeder that you know really well, and you know they have a clean group, that's always helpful. But you still want to quarantine them for a long time and get them tested multiple times. So if it's someone that you know pretty well, a 3-month quarantine is still good to do, and 2 to 3 tests. If you don't know them well, 6 months. Some people quarantine boas a year before introducing them into a room with pythons. You know, you just want to be very careful and test multiple times, because IBD doesn't always show up on the first test. So, Sky, thanks for the super chat. Can I see your pygmy python? Yeah, we can pull out Pip. We just tried to pull out, but I decided not to because she's way behind that other hide. But we can get Squeak out. And Squeak really is the pygmiest of pygmy pythons because he's tiny. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. We'll get Squeak out. He's such a good little snake. Here's Squeak. Let me see if I can. This camera will be less blurry. I mean, there's less light on him. You know what? We're just going to focus this camera. Here we go. I got an idea. There you go. There's a little Squeak. Such a cute little guy. Okay, back to me. And there we go. Good enough. Okay. Yeah, man, these pygmy pythons, I have just, I only have 2, and Squeak is a new one for me. But in both of them, I've found them to be like, first of all, they don't know they're small. They don't know that there could be predators. I don't think they're worried about predators at all. Maybe in the wild, it's just that they're always under rocks, so they don't have to worry about predators. But there's got to be stuff that eats them all the time. They're just not too concerned about it. I mean, they do hide. They're good hiders, but when I go in to pick them up, they don't seem concerned. You know, I guess if a snake was totally unconcerned about predators, they wouldn't hide. They would just be out all the time. And the pygmy pythons do hide. So it's not that they're unconcerned. It's just that they're confident. They're smart. They kind of act like reticulated pythons in that they seem to be interested in what's going on. You know, if I put my hand in Pip's cage, she comes right up to my hand to try to figure out what it is. She's always curious about anything new in the cage. She doesn't always want to, she's not going to crawl onto my hand usually, but she's going to check it out and try to figure out what it is. Once she knows what it is, she goes off and does her own thing. But they're just very curious and interesting little snakes. I like them a lot. They wouldn't be my first choice. I like bigger snakes, but because I have bigger snakes, I then want the smallest python in the world. And that's the pygmy python. So I like them a lot. Zep Master, thanks for the super chat. Let me get to it. Love the new podcast. Oh, thanks so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You guys, what he's talking about here is a podcast called Aliens Are Behind Everything and Other Probably True Nonsense, hosted by yours truly. I don't know if you've heard of that podcast before, but that's what it is. Zep, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Dude, you've got a great beard mustache combo, and a fantastic hat. Well done with those. Okay, here we go. My ball python enclosure has an ant problem. Anytime I think I've wiped them out, they show back up again. Suggestions. I don't have suggestions of how to get them out of the cage without just fully cleaning the cage. But I tell you, if I ever get ants in this room, I take cinnamon and put it on the floor around all the enclosures, because the ants won't cross a line of cinnamon. So it makes a mess, but it's worth it, because I've never had ants get into cages. If I see them in the house, cinnamon's coming out. So that's what I've found works well to prevent them. And then once they're gone, then what I do is I put Toro traps in areas where I know my snakes aren't going to get to, and we eradicate them. And a lot of times during that time, I just won't let snakes out if it's a ball python. Like Handsome Dan can come out because he's always going to stay up high, but any snake that goes to the ground, I don't let them out if it's possible that they could get to a Toro ant trap. But once those ant traps have worked, then I vacuum up the cinnamon and we go back to normal. That's usually once or twice a year, and it's usually about now. Once it starts getting hot, ants will come in. But knock on wood, I haven't seen any yet. Sky, thanks for the super chat. I've been considering an adult pygmy python. I have a 120-gallon tank. Perfect. That's great. Adult, pygmy pythons live quite a long time. So you get one that's a few years old, that's an adult. That would be great. They're real cool. I mean, you also don't have to go with pygmy python. If you're in the United States, pygmy pythons are more expensive by far than spotted pythons, children's pythons, Stimson's pythons. Those are all pretty much look exactly like this. It's the same family of snake, and those, a pygmy python gets about 24 inches. Those other ones get about 48 inches. They're about 4 feet figure. For those, that's a very generalized. Some are a little smaller, some are a little bigger, but not much bigger than 4 feet. That's kind of the biggest. Those of you with other Antaresia, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think you're like Stimson's pythons. I think get 4 feet, and children's maybe a little bit smaller. I might be wrong on that. I'm talking off the top of my head without knowing what I'm talking about. I'd have to look it up again. I've looked it up before and I've said it accurately in other videos, but I've got to have the information in front of me. Crisis, thanks for the super chat. I have temporary setups that are 40-gallon. What would you suggest to make it more comfortable for an adult female ball python displaced by fire and can't go bigger at the time due to circumstances? Yeah, Crisis. I mean, I'm reviewing one of those temporary cages in the upcoming cage review, and I'll tell you right now, it looks great. What you have. So especially for a ball python, they can hang, an adult ball python can hang out for a while in a 40-gallon. They're going to do just fine because they're hiding most of the time anyway. What I would say is that if you see your ball python out, this is what I do with my ball pythons who live in tubs, which are pretty small, but if I see them out, I let them out, either to hang out with me or to roam. So that's all you would do is, bring them out more if they want to come out, but they also may just sit in a hide, which is okay. If they're just sleeping in a hide, then it doesn't matter how big their cage is, in the moment, you know what I mean? Okay. So did I finish? I did. Okay. So I finished the Patreon questions. Great. Okay. We're all set, you guys. Let's do this. Let's get, you know what? Banjo's coming out right now. So you guys wanted to see a black-headed python. We'll bring Banjo out. I'm going to put Squeak back. Say goodbye to Squeak, everybody. I'm going to put Squeak back. We'll get Banjo out. Then we're going to feed Banjo and Maya. So that is the agenda right now. Here goes Squeak. He's back. We're going to open Banjo's cage. They've been out a lot of the day. Hi, buddy. Here. Banjo and Maya have been out quite a bit today, so they kind of, I think right when I started the live stream, they went back in to take naps, and now Banjo's just finally getting back out. Hi, bud. Cal, want to come out? What do you think? All right, so I'll let him come out on his own a little bit, and then I'll grab him when he's a little more grabbable. Come on out. Come on out. He's still halfway in his sky hide. Let's see. Can you? Oh no, you can't really see him from there. That camera's too blurry in the background. It blurs the background too much. Okay, while we're waiting for that, Mr. Dog Scratch, thanks for the super chat. I just discovered you and I'm so happy you're dispelling the myth snakes are dumb. Nearly all animals think. I wouldn't say nearly. I would say all animals think. They just think differently than we do. Yeah, you're right. That's true. And I love you've got the I Want to Believe. You need to discover my podcast. It's a podcast called Aliens Are Behind Everything and Other Probably True Nonsense. It's brand new. I think you might enjoy it. But yes, you're right. I'm shamelessly plugging this podcast constantly today. But you're absolutely right. All animals think, and even, we're discovering that bees have a thought process and bees engage in play. There was this fascinating study done where they find that bumblebees engage in play. And, if snakes didn't have, if snakes really had what we call a reptile brain, where they just go off of instinct and they had no ability to learn beyond just instinct, they wouldn't survive, because they're born or hatched in different environments, in different micro environments, and they have to learn that micro environment. For instance, rattlesnakes, when they're born, they learn their environment within about a mile range of one another. And we know that if we relocate a rattlesnake and we move it more than a mile away, they have about a 50% chance of survival because they've got to relearn the area. You know, they've got to learn where their food is, where their water is, where they can take shelter. And so this is stuff that they learn. Any rattlesnake that can learn that before they get eaten by a little hawk or something when they're babies, they can figure out how to survive within that about 1 mile range, you know. We got Banjo coming out. And then, you know, we find with snakes in captivity, especially more recently, we find that they target train super quick, really fast. And I've talked about this recently before, but my feeling is that a snake, because, you know, most predators are not successful very often at getting prey. They're trying and trying and trying, and eventually they'll be successful, regardless of what kind of animal it is. But snakes especially go long times without getting anything. And so when they acquire food, they have to be able to remember everything that happened surrounding that event where they were able to acquire food, so they can maybe replicate that. And if you show them a target, they'll remember that something happened right before they acquired food, and they saw that little disc. And so that means food. And it only takes a few feedings before they start associating that with food. And I think they're just wired, you know, to do that. Hang on, we're going to get this black-headed python before he gets himself into trouble. Dude. You guys, Banjo is getting so big. I'm sorry, pal. I know you wanted to do your own thing, but that is not on the agenda right now. I'm sorry, bud. Not on the agenda. Hang on. Let's get him in a position where you can see him. He is much bigger than Maya was. I think I've mentioned this. I feel like I've mentioned this before, maybe in a live stream, maybe in another video. But when Maya was this age, she was quite a bit smaller. And I feed them pretty much the same thing. Like I was feeding her the same as I currently feed Banjo. I think he's going to be a bigger snake. But as long as he's not in shed, he's a perfect gentleman. You know, I never worry. He's never bitten me. He's never confused me with food. Whereas Maya does quite often confuses me with food. I have to test her before I just pick her up. I've got to touch her back and make sure she doesn't think I'm food, you know, every time. And with Banjo, that's not really a thing. Now when Banjo's in shed, he's Jekyll and Hyde. He becomes super defensive, ridiculously bluff striking. Still has never bit me, but he'll strike with an open mouth and bump, which is kind of common behavior for black-headed pythons. Even in the wild, they'll bluff strike, you know? So I just don't, you know, when I know he's in shed, I leave him alone, you know? Let's see if I give him a hat, if he'll stay with me. He's trying to get to the ground. He knows that he can get to the ground. And, I mean, usually when I bring him out, I'll handle him for a second and then I let him go where he wants. So he's just kind of used to doing that. Let's see. Okay, we're caught up there. Let's see if I can just get him to. Hey, bud, will you just stay up here, please? He's just long. He's got to be almost 6 feet long. Let's see. I'm going to look at some of these questions. William's asking, will you and Lucy be going to another reptile show? I'm sure we will. Lucy often comes with me to local reptile shows. So yeah, I'm sure there will be more of those shenanigans. All right, let's get these snakes fed. Hold on, let me see if there's any All right. So there we go. Quick outing for Banjo because I want to get some food in his cage. Andy's asking if I'm going to any NARBC shows this year. Yeah, I will. I will be probably at Tinley in October, and I might do another one, but I haven't decided for sure. So yes, I'll do some of that. And then I might be at a couple smaller shows. It kind of depends. I've been invited to a couple, and I'm considering putting together a video that's like a video where I showcase like 3 of the smaller shows. I don't know if that would be interesting to people, but I think it's good to showcase what, you know, what's at shows, what's at the local shows, the smaller local shows versus the big giant biggest ones in the country, you know. Because it really is, it's not as many vendors, but it's the same species. Like it's the same cool reptiles, even at the smaller shows. So, so yeah, I might do that. All right, let me get Banjo back in his cage. And then we're going to just toss quail into Banjo and Maya's cage. So we haven't seen Maya all day, but as soon as I put a quail in her cage, she's going to catch wind of it and she'll come out. We'll see how long it takes. It'll be interesting because I'm not going to do any, I'm not going to do any hair dryer stuff. I'm not going to try to blow scent anywhere. We're just going to put it in her cage. We'll see how long it takes her to figure it out. And then we're going to feed Handsome Dan a quail also. They all have the same thing thawing out. Hey, bud, can I put you back? I mean, look at this snake. There's a big chair. This is a dang close to 6-foot snake. He's only 3 years old. You know. All right, buddy. Oh, Maya's already coming out. I was hoping she was still asleep to see what it would take to wake her up, like how long it takes for her to wake up and figure out that food's in her cage. But she's awake. Hey. What's going on, lady? Is the other camera better? I think it is for her cage. It's just blurry, right? All right, you know what? We're closing this. Let's just get your food. Okay. Here we go. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Let me double check that I haven't missed any super chats before I leave. I haven't. I don't think I have. Okay. Okay, I'm going to grab a couple quail. Hold on a second. All right. These have been thawing out for most of the afternoon. They're at about room temperature, but they're not warmed up at all. And so that one's just going right there. Blackheaded pythons don't need them warmed up, and it's not because they don't have heat pits. They do have heat sensors. They can definitely sense heat. They're not pits. It's a heat sensor behind their rostral scale. But the reason that you don't have to heat up prey items for blackheaded pythons is that in the wild, they're used to eating carrion. which is just dead animals. So they come across a dead roadkill and they'll just start eating it. And so it doesn't have to, we don't have to pretend like it's alive, you know. Hang on, let me get a camera on these guys. There we go. We got Maya already on it. Banjo also. Oops. There we go. Banjo's definitely on it. They're pretty good at figuring out when something has been put in their cage. They don't, you know, their eyesight is not great. So it's not like they watched me. They saw that I was doing something in their cage, but they don't know what I did. So it's definitely when they smell directionally can smell the thing. Banjo's not quite on it yet. There we go. He's getting there. Here. Maya's the closest. I'd rather they don't eat a quail backwards, but if, you know, it's not a big deal if they decide to eat it backwards. It's just annoying because it takes them a long time. And I think it's uncomfortable for them to do that, but, you know. So Banjo's off of it right now. Maya's got hers figured out. She's just trying to decide how she's going to tackle it. She's on the feet. I don't know what you guys can see. You know what? Let's do this. That gives you a better view, right? Hang on, sorry about the jiggliness. This might take a while. I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing, but we'll see if she opens her mouth at least. There we go. She got it. Good. So she got hers from the front. Banjo's still trying to figure his out. He's found it. So they're not under any delusion that it's a live animal that they need to strike and wrap. But I will say that I think I've said this before, but if I put a rodent in there, if I put a mouse or a rat in there, they do get very excited about rodents. And sometimes, especially Maya, will strike and wrap a cold rodent that's just sitting in her cage. So they like rodents a lot. They get quail more often though, because quail has less fat. You know, it's closer to the nutrients of a reptile, and in the wild they'd be eating reptiles for the most part. So, okay, good there. Let me see what I've been missing here in the chat. All right, Banjo got his. Sorry, you missed it. But they both got theirs. All right, and we got Handsome Dan coming up. We're going to feed him in a minute. Let me just see where we're at. Okay. You guys are good at chatting amongst yourselves. CG Aider, Bob, my ball python was in blue 2 weeks ago and went clear 2 to 3 days later, and 10 days from clear and still hasn't shed. Advice? They probably have shed. You just didn't find it. Look under their substrate and around. So just look a little bit more. They probably shed. If they were in blue 2 weeks ago, that shed has happened. It's pretty common for them to hide it, though. Sometimes, especially if you have a cage that's full of clutter, they'll unwrap everything, and rather than spreading it all over their cage, it'll unwrap almost like a condom where it's just rolled up and it's just sitting somewhere. So look for that. Crisis, thanks for the super chat. Will you go to the San Jose show at some point? Yeah, maybe at some point. San Jose is not too far, but it's a bit of a trek. I'd have to get a hotel, you know. I'll have to look into San Jose. I did the Sacramento show last year, which is kind of the main one in the Bay Area, I think, is the Sacramento show. I don't know what the San Jose show's like, but I could look into that one. All right, let's feed Handsome Dan. So Handsome Dan is a little bit more of a process. He's sitting on his log right now. Look at this. Hang on. Let me switch you to there, and then Handsome Dan is right there on his log. So the plan is to open up that door, and we will try to target him to grab a quail. So give me just a second. We'll open this. I got to go get the quail and his target. So for targeting Handsome Dan, it is literally just a food cue for him. He does targeting different each time. He sees it. A lot of times he just gets into strike position rather than actually following the target. But I want him to know that I'm feeding him, you know. There's a strike of the target. So he definitely associates it with food. He doesn't ever strike at any inanimate objects. So what I'd like him to do is to just touch it with his nose, but it's not really a behavior that I've had him do, you know. I've kind of just shown him the target. Once he gets into position, there you go, bud. Once he gets into position, I just give him the food. I'm not trying to make him do tricks for his food, you know. Okay. So there we go. If he starts eating it and he's in a position where it looks interesting, I'll cut back to him. But you know, he has struck at the target before, but it's pretty rare. Usually he just sets up and waits. So that's probably the third time total that he's struck at a target. Okay. So banjo, here, I'll show you where we're at. I assume you guys are interested in this. I think most people are interested in seeing different snakes eat, right? Especially different species, you know. So here's Banjo working on this thing. This is a pretty big meal for him. So I always talk about that I feed my black-headed pythons twice a week. If they get a big meal like this, or at least Banjo, he'll skip his next meal. Maya is a bigger snake, so she can take that size quail, and I'll still feed her in 4 or 5 days. I'll give her something else. You know, so she's almost done with hers. They get smaller meals because their heads are not as stretchy. They haven't evolved these massive heads to eat giant thick rodents, because they're usually in the wild, they're eating other snakes and lizards. So although they have been known to eat like big monitor lizards, big goannas in the wild, but it takes them a really long time, and it's not comfortable for them because they just don't have the stretchiness that other pythons have. So with Banjo here, it's going to take him a minute, but at least he's eating it frontwards, versus Maya is clearly eating hers backwards. You see that wing? So I don't like when they eat theirs backwards, but they totally can. It's not a problem. It just takes them longer and it's less comfortable for them to do. But, no problem. They'll get it done. And then Handsome Dan. Oh, he's starting on his. Apologies to my mom and anyone else who is probably not interested in seeing cute quail be consumed by a snake. I totally get it. Allison, thanks for the super chat. Do you have any new hatchlings / eggs show babies? Yes, I do. I can show some babies. We can do that real quick right after this. We got about 20 minutes left after this of the podcast. I can show some babies. I've got some babies from Willow. It was her first clutch. And, oh man, Handsome Dan is going to bring that bird up into his sky hide. Not a bad choice. He's not trying to eat in front of everyone. He's like, at least let me be blurry. Let me just get out of focus to eat this quail. Anyway, I've got some new babies from Willow, and I've been waiting for eggs. I thought Willow's mom, Delilah, I thought we'd have eggs by now. I've been waiting for the last probably 5 days for her to lay, and it hasn't happened yet. But I'm expecting those soon. So, hang on. Let's go back to me. Hi. There we are. There we go. Scared Remedy. I wonder what you have now. If you have a python now, a boa is not much different. Depending on the species, there's a ton of different species of boa that you could get. You can get tree boas, you can get ground boas. A Dumeral's boa, we were talking earlier when LJ was in the room. Dumeral's boa is one of the best pet snakes you can get. They're awesome. But really, with a lot of boas, it's not much different than a ball python. Handsome Dan is my only boa, but I'll say that let's check on him real quick. Oh, oh, that's sad. We just see the feet of the quail. Handsome Dan is just a shy snake that likes to do his own thing. He's out every day, totally reliable. I never worry about him slithering off somewhere, because he does the exact same thing every day. He sits up top here. I put him away usually at night. Sometimes I forget. And if I forget to put him away, I just see him the next day in the exact same place I saw him last time. He never moves once he's in his spot that he likes. So I don't know that every boa would be that way. And in fact, for sure, not every boa would be that way. But that's my experience. He's a good guy. Yes, Alyssa, they do catch the tongs sometimes when feeding. In fact, I had a snake do that yesterday. Who was I feeding? They grabbed the tongs. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, it happens sometimes. And you do just gently work it off. You don't want to break any teeth. If they do break their teeth, they'll grow them back. It's not a huge deal, but you try to not have that happen. So there have been times that, especially with the super dwarf retics, when they grab tongs, I just set the tongs in the cage with them. They can let go whenever they decide to let go. So I'm not trying to, if they really have the tongs, like they've got a good grip on them, I'm not trying to jostle those out of their mouth. If they snag it just a little bit, you can pull it out yourself. But otherwise, you just leave the tongs in there and they'll readjust, Candy, the movie tonight is Mystery Men. I'm so excited to see it because it's one of my favorite movies. It's so ridiculous. If you guys haven't seen Mystery Men, please look it up. It flopped when it came out, but it's not because it wasn't good. It's because the studio didn't promote it. The studio did a horrible job promoting that movie when it came out, but it's so fun. It's a bunch of superheroes that are just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous superhero movie is what it is. Paul Rubens is in it. Pee Wee Herman is one of the superheroes. Janine Garofalo is one of them. It's Dane Cook's first movie that he was ever in. It was before he was even famous as a comedian, really. So it was a long time ago. Why can't I think of his name? William H. Macy is the shoveler, which is a superhero. It's so good, you guys. Who else? Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller's one of the, it's a great cast, fun movie. Crisis agrees with me. Excellent movie. Elizabeth agrees with me. Yeah, you guys know. It's so good. It's so fun. Yes, Paul Rubens is the spleen. That's right. I forgot the name of his character, but we got Paul Rubens as the spleen. It's great. It's so funny. And Dane Cook, he's only in one scene. He's trying out to be part of the Mystery Men, and he's the waffler. He's the waffle man. He's got like waffles and the syrup of justice, if I remember right. It's ridiculous. It's great. It's great. If you haven't seen it and you've decided to watch the movie because I've promoted it, I need you to message me somehow and let me know how you liked it. It's important for me to know if you enjoyed the film. Back to Chang. Thanks for the super chat. Who is your favorite stand-up comedian alive and living? Okay, alive and living. That's a great. We're going both of those. I think you meant not alive and living. I don't know that I have a favorite. There are ones that I like a lot. I will say though, people ask me this a lot because I've been, I don't really do stand up as much anymore, like traditional stand up, but that's where I came from. That's where I started is as a touring stand up comic. And we typically don't watch a bunch of other stand up because like I've spent so many weekends in clubs that I don't watch a ton of stand up anymore, but there's a bunch of really good ones right now. I love that, a lot of stand-up comics will say that they don't like Matt Rife because he doesn't write material. He just riffs, but he's brilliant at it. Matt Rife is so good at what he does, and he doesn't have to write material. He can just go and do a show and it's just audience banter, and he's brilliant at it. So I like him a lot. I love Andrew Santino. He's hysterical. I like a lot of people. Ricky Gervais, so funny. There's a lot. I think Eddie Izzard, brilliant, especially his first two comedy specials, so funny. Dead comics. I think of comedy actors like John Candy, Chris Farley, those guys. I love those guys. They're not stand-ups, but Have you noticed any, Amy, thanks for the super chat. Have you noticed any begging behavior in your snakes? I have a female who periscopes for attention and a male that comes out of his hide at meals. Yeah, so it's usually for meals, not so much for attention. There is periscoping behavior in a lot of snakes. Usually, I think, and I'm just guessing at what this periscoping is, I think it's so they can just get a better view and a better, like their tongue flicking a little bit. They're picking up scents in the room. But I don't think that snakes are specifically looking for attention from us. And I, you know, what I always tell people is, if you think your snake is trying to come out onto you or looking for your attention, just pick them up, you know, when they're periscoping, pick them up and don't do anything. Let them go where they want to go. Do they curl up in your lap or do they leave eventually? You know, it might take them a while, but eventually they'll probably leave. Even, you know, I was talking about Captain Farrell yesterday. He was around my neck for a little bit, but eventually he left and he sat for 3 hours on the back of this chair, but he would prefer to be on the back of this chair than on me. It's not that he was scared of me. He didn't want to move far away from me. He just wanted to find his own spot, which was back there, you know. And I think that's more what they're like. But yes, as far as begging for food, absolutely. You know, if you're feeding, you're going to have snakes looking for food. I didn't do any by the way, let's take a peek at where we're at here. I didn't do any hair dryer stuff, but you know, I didn't put any scent in the room because I didn't want my other snakes to go crazy. So we got Handsome Dan here. He came out of his hide. I mean, it's blurry, right? Is it blurry? He's about halfway in with his. We got Banjo. I can't see his face, but he's upside down, which is kind of common. He's working on it. Maya is already done with hers. She's in that hide right there. So really the only one we can see right now is Handsome Dan. Let me come over here and see if this is a good view for you guys. Oh yeah, you can see what's going on. So he's halfway done with his. So, you know, this is a good example of the blackheaded pythons typically get fed twice a week. Handsome Dan gets fed once every 3 weeks. So, you know, different species of snakes have different metabolisms, and there's definitely different strategies for getting food into them in a healthy manner based on their evolution, how their bodies have evolved. I think snakes are fascinating in that they have been around since before dinosaurs, basically in this form. I mean, they were different snakes back then, but they were snakes, and we find them all over the world in every why can't I think of words? Because I've had two glasses of whiskey. Is that why? Every ecosystem, basically, except for the Arctic tundra. And some of them have evolved similarly, you know, on two different sides of the world. I'm thinking of like emerald tree boas and green tree pythons, very similar adaptations. And then others have evolved completely differently based on food availability, based on what they can get, what they can eat, how they handle their environments. So this boa versus those two pythons, very different feeding schedule. Pretty interesting. So we'll just finish. Let's finish watching him eat. Oh, Mitch Hedberg. Yes, of course. So I have Mitch Hedberg stories because I used to open for Mitch in Seattle. I don't think I've told those stories lately. I think I've talked about Mitch Hedberg on the podcast before when other people have mentioned him. But hang on, we'll cut back to him, to Handsome Dan. We got 10 minutes left. So Mitch, I used to open for Mitch when he would come to Seattle. It was when I was doing stand up in Seattle. I was a Seattle comic, and I think the bookers felt like I was a good match to open for Mitch when he was in town. But so one time I hadn't seen Mitch in over a year. I'd worked with him before. We were friends, not that we hung out together really, or had called each other on the phone or anything, but we knew each other pretty well, just from working together. So normally when you haven't seen someone in a while and you see them, you act like a normal person and you say, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on?" Right? So here was after I hadn't seen Mitch for, and those of you who don't know who Mitch Hedberg is, it doesn't matter. The story's still good. It's fine. Hadn't seen him for a year. I'm sitting in the green room waiting for him to show up. He comes into the green room. Well, what you should know about Mitch is he did a lot of drugs, and that's why he's no longer with us, unfortunately. He was a big drug user. Anyway, so I'm sitting in the green room by myself. He comes into the green room. He looks at me, doesn't say hi or anything like that. He just says this. He goes, "Hey, Bob, man, do you have any cocaine?" And I said, "No, Mitch, I don't." Like at that point, I had never seen cocaine before. That's how not a drug person I am. I go, "No, Mitch, I don't." He goes, "I don't either. That's why I asked you." And then he turns around and walks out. That was his thing. And then I have another great Mitch Hedberg story from the same comedy club, but I wasn't there that night. It's just such a good story. Let me make sure that I haven't missed anything before I. Okay, so Mitchell one night he had this friend named Chard Hogan. Chard was like an open mic comic in Seattle at the time. This is like the early 90s. And Mitch had come to town to do a show, and Mitch was a big drug user, but he had never done mushrooms before, apparently. Took a bunch of mushrooms before a show. He took mushrooms, and he told Chard, he goes, "Hey, Chard, man, if you see me freaking out on stage, just bring me a glass of water and it'll be cool." Like that's the sign that, hey, Mitch, you're freaking out, right? So Chard is in the back in the green room and just chatting with someone. And all of a sudden he realizes that he hasn't heard Mitch talk in a while. Mitch is on stage doing his show. And all of a sudden Chard realizes he hasn't been hearing the show. What he's hearing is brr, 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 brr. And what he realizes it is this. Mitchell's just there going. Sorry, that probably sounds awful. But he's just scratching the mic with his fingernail. And so Chard goes, "Oh God, he's freaking out." So he runs to the bar. He goes, "Give me some water, give me some water." Grabs the glass of water, brings it up to the stage, puts it on the stage. And Mitch looks at the water and he goes, "So anyway, as I was saying," and he goes back to his bit and he does a great show. Like that worked. Just bring him a glass of water, which is insane and hysterical in my opinion. Let's see how Handsome Dan is doing. Oh, he's still working on it. All right. Anyway, I have some other Mitchell stories, but we had some fun shows together, and I was very sad when he died. I had seen him a couple weeks before he died, and he seemed to have been doing well. He had gone through rehab. He looked great. Somebody told me that he wasn't doing well very shortly after I saw him, and I saw that he was doing well. And I was like, no, he's fine. He's great. And then about a week after that, we learned that he had died. So, and that was an overdose. Really unfortunate. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, Mitch was such a funny comic, and I can't believe I don't list him as one of my favorites. I just wasn't thinking about it. There's so many comedians, you know. Let's see. William. Hey, William says, "Hey, Bob, I'd like to see you talk about Portlock, Alaska in your other channel. That's an interesting story." Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up. I know nothing of that. I don't know anything of Portlock, Alaska. I don't think. It's a great bit. This is such a classic Mitch Hedberg bit. I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. So that's another thing. This is just inside stuff about Mitch, is that I didn't know him before he kind of was this character, but apparently he used to speak normally. And then he started getting really heavy into drugs, and he kind of became this character on stage where he would talk like this. I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. But he always talked like that. Like, I've driven him to gigs. We've been in for hours in the car together talking. He always talked like that. It kind of changed his personality permanently to go from just speaking like a normal person to this kind of what seems like a stage character, but it wasn't, because he was always, I never heard him not talk like that. All right, Handsome Dan getting a thick quail into his neck. It's a great example for those new snake keepers who are afraid to feed their snakes something that will stretch their neck. These guys are built for it. Speaking of the evolution of snakes, this is what they do. Let's see. Yes, such a good, wait, where is it? Such a good bit. A duck's opinion of me is heavily influenced on whether or not I have bread. And then that's usually followed by the bit about Subway. Wait, what's the bit? It's a longer bit, but the point of it is that Subway sandwich, ducks don't have to pay for Subway. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but anyway, I'm not going to do the bit. We're going to go back to me because Handsome Dan is basically done. Any tips on Tazap? Thanks for the super chat. Any tips on heating a 4x2x4? Are you saying 4 high? You're saying, yeah, he doesn't seem to be making it to the ground level. Yeah, that's the problem. I was just yesterday advising someone to not do a 4 high cage. So the best thing to do is to run it. So here's the thing. You've got your, this is what I would do, and it's tricky, but you got your 4 foot tall cage and you want to have overhead heat. So if there's a shelf that is about halfway the distance, you would wire your heat source under the shelf so that your heat source isn't coming from the top, it's coming from halfway down, and have it on in a cage. You know, it could be a heat panel, depending on what kind of shelf you have. You know, you could have a heat panel, but if it's a CHE or something like that, you could wire it to the shelf and then have it going from 2 feet up down. That's probably the best way to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am okay. We are finishing this. So we fed the black-headed pythons. We fed Handsome Dan. I answered a ton of your questions, and I hope you had fun. I did. I quite enjoyed this. We did really good on keeping this to 3 hours. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next time, and I'll see you next week, or I guess you'll see me next week if you watch the video that comes out. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great night.